You piece of shit. Alright. Looks good to me. Looks good to me. Alright. I saw this and there's a lot of truth to this. China #1. No. No, Asian games, Japanese games, all stuff, they don't have the same BS. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to go over my own stuff and how you create real stories, even if you have different types of relationships and everything. It's just the stuff that I do. I had to create a special folder because I do some stuff that I did is adult. I can't have that, so I had to make a special folder for their stuff I'm about to talk about, their content, the stories that I do, and everything. There's a right way to do everything. But I want to get into this because there's so much fact in this. Everybody leave a comment, leave a like as we go along, because we're going to do some stuff on how to make gaming great again.
I need you guys to make sure that I'm not losing my mind, that I'm not seeing things, because from my perspective, it looks like all the games the players are the most excited for, the ones that they're enjoying the most, the ones that they're talking about the most, the games that have been the most successful outside of a couple of outliers. I'm not saying that it's all of them, but they're all coming from the East. Elden Ring, Pal World, Tears of the Kingdom, Armored Core 6, Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, Black Myth Wukong, Space Marine 2, Marvel Rivals, Final Fantasy, and I already know that I'm going to enjoy Blade once it releases.
Can I think of any others? I probably could, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot, especially the ones that are coming out. PC. Yeah,
I'm not saying that all Eastern games are great and all Western games are bad. No, there's definitely there's a handful of good games in the West. Believe me, I've put 400 hours a lot better. Baldur's Gate 3, but with that said, the list is very short on the Western side of things. Yeah. And I think this is something that the vast majority of the industry doesn't want to discuss, especially games media, because, well, it means that they're losing relevance.
Of course.
Western games are losing relevance.
This is the reason. You're absolutely right. Media doesn't want to acknowledge that Chinese game studios and overseas game studios in general are gaining momentum and catching up in the market because that diminishes their cultural relevance. Because their cultural relevance is only important inside of the scope of that individual culture.
Extension, Western media then loses its relevance as well. There's been a cultural shift over the years.
This is the thing, is that Western media, and I don't like to get to it, just woke ass stuff and everything, and you could go with DEI stuff as well. And me, if I use stuff like that, like I said, there's a right way to do stuff and there's a wrong way to do stuff and everything, and how Americans are doing it and everything. They're doing it forced and everything. And how I do it, I have, and stuff like that. It's adults only, first of all, because it's not for kids and everything. But, do story and stuff like that. It's like Star Wars, vampire stuff. It's, cutthroat, it's action, what I do and everything. It's like, let me see, it's not Stellar Blade, but it's Ninja Gaiden. It's like Ninja Gaiden, meets, raw type of stuff, raw, calm type of stuff is what I do. It has all kinds of stuff in it, what I do. I have a window that I show of some of the stuff, characters that I do and everything, versus stuff that they have today. It's how they
years
do it
where players are not being prioritized, but these Eastern studios are prioritizing those audiences, and as a result, because that cultural shift doesn't happen over there, well, they're taking advantage of a situation, and they are skyrocketing in popularity. They're gaining more players, they're gaining more influence, and more importantly, they're gaining more money, which makes them a major threat to the rest of the industry.
There's also another component, too, about this, is that a lot of places overseas have much lower development costs because different costs over there are much lower. Like, for example, Black Myth Wukong cost under $100 million to make, much under $100 million to make. If that same game was made here in America, it probably would have doubled that number.
500
about heading towards a world that has a heck of a lot more Black Myths and Marvel Rivals and a lot less Dragon Age the Veilguard and Concords. That's not good for a lot of people.
I mean the stuff that Black Myth, Sun Wukong, Far East Tales, it has, all that Hindu, Buddhism stuff in it and everything. I remember when I was a kid, when I first saw that, the Monkey King and everything, and Taoism and Taoism and all stuff, it's like...
And I actually even think that this problem isn't about the West as a macro group. I think it's actually about America. It's American games are the ones that are garbage. Because Baldur's Gate 3, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, those games were great, and they were Western games. It's American brain rot.
I'll tell you that right now, because...
That's
Ubisoft,
Well, you have a niche amount of people that are affecting the game industry, telling what they should put into the games and everything. And there's a right way to put stuff in the games without forcing their agenda into it. And this is a problem people just want to play a good game. They don't want, social political agendas into it. I make strong female characters, very strong female characters. Also, with the adult film stars that I've known over the years, I've used them as well into my stories and stuff that I create and everything. And I create character models of them and stuff like that. Different races, I use people of color and stuff like that as well. Not just white, but there's a wrong way, the right way to put this, gaming, movies, story, and everything else. There's always, a wrong and right way to do it. Me, I made my own creation
continue to be successful
as well,
as they're able to produce way more games than a lot of these Western studios, because the financial position many of them are in, well, their investors are going to turn around and ask them, why aren't you doing that?
Yeah.
They're going to say, well, we can't. But before we get into that, Monster Hunter Wilds is right around the corner, and with it is coming some of the craziest PC specs I've ever seen required. So you guys could use today's sponsor, Starforge. I've been loving my new PC from Starforge Systems. It's incredibly quiet, sleek, and lightning fast. It's a way better build than I could do myself, and they've got something for everyone.
I want 5090. I want 5090
PCs. You have to be there like the moment, because apparently they're still selling out super fucking fast.
Ryzen PCs, which are great for everyday gamer, much more affordable and just great for a first-time user or even experienced players. You can kick it up a notch. Go into their Navigator series.
Man.
Packed with next-gen components, giving you some truly high-end performance. But if you're a content creator or enthusiast like me, well, their Voyager series has everything that you're going to need. Starforge has a ton of incredible customization options with PCs inspired by popular games like Terraria and old-school RuneScape, anime like FreeRen, and even their own original designs. And if you really want to customize, they got limited run designs, plate lights, desk mats, and even posters to match your setup.
That's
Every
pretty
PC
crazy,
is hand-built in Austin with premium quality and attention to detail, plus a 2-year parts and labor warranty. Starforge Systems, premium quality, white glove service, and all of it at an accessible price point. Follow the link in the pinned comment or the description below and check out Starforge Systems and find the PC of your dreams. There is a clear divide.
So true. Absolute. 100%. Completely agree.
Between games made in the East and those made in the West. And I found myself enjoying more Eastern games more and more. And I know that I'm not alone. You don't have to look that hard to see the difference. Eastern games are thriving while Western titles are drowning in complaints, controversy.
The worst thing about Western games and American games is the dialogue in the games. The dialogue is where the real weakness shines through. The gameplay can sometimes be comparable, but the dialogue is just painful.
Creative stagnation. These studios and publishers get it. Culture.
Keep in mind also is that with Star Wars Outlaws, what they did is they took the Han Solo story, not the movie. I'm not talking about the movie, but they would take stuff from what had happened with Han Solo, and they copy pasted a female on it, and not only that, but some of the gameplay is trash as well, and how they try to spin it and everything like that. Me, I have a female character, a strong female character that has her own story, and she works, Mandalorian stuff like that, and she's a Twi'lek, tall Twi'lek, sort of like the Xena, princess warrior, kick-ass. Thing is, it's my own creation, and I can't even find the right universe thing because it transcends Star Wars. It blows a lot of Star Wars away and stuff like that. I have a different name and everything, but I've done a lot of stories and stuff like that, and they uglied the female character. Once you really listen, they uglied her. It's like, what the fuck? Everything. They totally fucked up the face on her on Star Wars Outlaws and everything. And the woman, that they made the character off of is a very beautiful woman. But no, we can't have a beautiful, sexy woman. We can't have that. No, we have to ugly them for our stupid-ass social political agenda and everything.
Truly, they get it. They understand what players want, and they're delivering it without compromise. I boot up Monster Hunter, Black Myth Wukong.
I think it really says a lot if you have an Eastern developer that somehow understands American players better than American developers do, right? I mean, this is pretty fucking sad. It's HR dialogue? Yes, it is.
Fantasy 16, and it feels like peak is the only thing that they care about. They want you to experience something that is unforgettable. They want you to be blown away by the scale, spectacle, and raw excitement. I'm tracking down monsters, and I'm fighting them and crafting armor out of their bones.
Yeah, so basically Monster Hunter is about monsters and hunting them, and it's not some sort of veiled critique on
what they did to you, Ozzy.
Or some sort of government, opinion or anything like that. It's just simply a very good video game that's about monsters.
Right.
I know, I guys.
Yeah, but what they do to you, Ozzy, this is the thing. I can't do that. What they do to me, I'm encroaching on their territory. They have right to be pissed on me, pissed at me. You know, I mean, if you want to kill monsters or whatever, you know, it's like, I don't know. I just can't get into that. Me, I like to go after a force that attacked me, or, you know, a human, you know, alien force, you know. I have to go after something that wants to attack me and my people and stuff like that, versus just killing animals, monsters, or whatever. It's like, why am I doing this? What does they do to me? It didn't do anything to me. I don't know. I mean, they like that.
Developers painstakingly research ecology to make sure that they can create a realistic ecosystem that feels alive, while at the exact same time,
we're not apologizing,
priority. They're also delivering stylized combat that you'd only find in anime. I'm walking through China's cultural history, experiencing one of the oldest stories.
Well, you'd also find it in fucking Yakuza. That game was an anime. Like, it was basically an anime game. It was insane.
Ever told, and fighting literal gods in Black Myth Wukong. I'm experiencing political upheaval and a world-ending crisis in Final Fantasy XVI, but every moment builds to something bigger. The stakes, the music, the sheer unrelenting spectacle. I go from trying to find the truth to fighting a dragon in space that is about to unleash a laser to destroy the world.
It is. I love. Look at that. You can make a sexy woman. I was going to the dragon. They just happen to change it right here. Let me tell you. People want to look at sexy, beautiful characters, not ugly ones. They don't. Alright, that's just a fact. Okay? I don't mean to have it on her butt, but let me tell you. If I make something, you make something, the characters need to look at sex sells. Good-looking people, good-looking aliens, or whatever. Good-looking monsters sells. Graphics, good graphics sells. Good game mechanics sells. So many U.S. video games are shit. The game mechanics don't work. They're all bugged. They come out half dead on arrival and everything like that. And you have these games from Japan, South Korea, China, and stuff like that. They work. I mean, some of them have some problems, okay, but these ones that we covered and everything, they work. Versus the ones from America, they just want to take your money and everything. And there's no reason to even have any expectations other than total failure and everything. So, I mean, but look, I play female characters too sometimes, alright? Also, it helps with the stories that I make. I make those characters. I flesh them out as well. So, take like Star Wars: The Old Republic. I hate the game now, but I make these characters and stuff like that, and you want
look at games like Ninja Gaiden, Resident Evil, Stellar Blade, an entire industry of gacha juggernauts unapologetically delivering cool, badass, and attractive characters.
It's because these games know what their target audience is. Western games basically having a target audience is bad.
If I try to ugly my adult stars that I know, they'd be fucking pissed. They'd go like, what the fuck? They pissed not only that, but other people that I do stories and have, sold stories, stuff like that. If they looked ugly, it would sell. Sex sells. Whether it's a man, woman, or whatever, or a sexy looking alien or whatever. Okay? It sells. You ugly them up, people won't want anything to do with this. Like, I'm not going to buy that trash. That's trash.
Bad if your target audience is young men. And if you're making a game like this, your target audience will be young men.
that's the thing. When games came out, it was for boys mainly, and I think nowadays they should have both male, female. You know, you should have the option to play a male. You should have the option to play a female. It sounds crazy, but I think it should, because there are a lot of girls that play games. Adult stars that I know play games as well. You know, COD and other games like that. And I can tell you, they definitely play Stellar Blade, stuff like that, because hey, girls love it to play a good-looking girl as well, and they're usually bi. And everything. So, I mean, it just...
And young men want chicks with big tits, big swords, and cool shit, and they don't want to be patronized by some Karen. And they don't want dialogue that sounds like HR is in the room.
They're not allowed. Kick them all out.
Young guys don't like that. They've never liked that, and they never will like that. You're not going to psyop them into liking that. It's just not going to sell.
Yeah.
Just like it hasn't.
Brainwashing is what they're trying to do.
Studios are not afraid to give players what they want. Whether it's over-the-top action, ultra-stylized designs, or characters that are as powerful as they are attractive. Western games, well, they've been moving in the opposite direction.
Beautiful.
The androgynous, desaturated...
Well, the reality is, here's the thing. A lot of people play video games to get away from people like this in real life. So...
Yes, they do. They don't want that shit on there. They don't. They don't. And keep in mind that the ladies that I know usually are lefties. But let me tell you, when they play a game, they don't want this shit on there. If you're going to have a woman, she better have tits. She better have breasts. Mine that I have breasts and stuff. Let me see here. This one. Let's go here. If I could. And let's go here. And what I need to do is I'm going to go over this here. And there is, okay, look at that. I don't know if you can see that on here, but let me see. Okay, you can't? Oh crap. Because you can't, it really sucks. If you can't, because let's just say I wanted to, and obviously I can't show it on here, then, which I have the screen on here, but let me tell you, I have all this stuff here. I can see it on my screen. It really sucks. But my girls have breasts. That really sucks. But we're going to get out of that window. And let's see. How do I'm trying to... If only OBS would... Let's get this out of here. I need to get this out of here. Screen on that one. No. What is it? This one right here. I want to make sure. Yes, the capture window. Let's move on.
When you play,
but I wish people could see it. I'll have to sometime. I will have to put up those pictures and stuff like that. Because the women that I make have breasts. If the adult stars that I've known for 5.5, 6 years, if I made them with shit like this, they're like, what the fuck are you doing? I have breasts that the women in the adult industry that I know want to have.
Put people like this, these annoying, disagreeable, obnoxious, like just rude people in video games. Well, it's like I'm trying to get away from this, and now they're in the game too. Why would I want to play?
And the thing is, a lot of these ladies are lefties, but they don't want it in the fucking game. And they're bi, too. They like men and girls. They like guys and girls. If they want something to sexy look at, whether it's a guy or, or a woman, or whatever, they want to look good. Okay? You want to be turned on, tuned into the game. And we have these nut jobs doing this. This is a small faction that represents 2-3%, like I say, maybe at most 5%. I say 5% of the people and everything. And the thing is, make your own game. Make your own game, but don't use their IP. And this is what I do. I create my own universe. I create my own IP, stuff like that. And I've never sold
the game. Curated corporate safe designs that plague Western titles.
Yeah.
Nobody's asking for that. Certainly not the players. Certainly not women. I see countless 2B cosplayers, but I haven't seen a single person willingly dressing up as Abby from The Last of Us Part 2. So I guess we might see some Concord cosplays this year. But it's not just the aesthetics. It's
maybe
the
for Halloween. The skeletons.
Give it time.
Eastern Studios are focusing on the player experience. It seems like the only thing they actually care about. They're not obsessing over realistic sweat physics in a first-person shooter. They're making sure that the controls feel incredible. They're not waiting.
Yes. The physics of the water. Like how things happen in the water, like, oh, well, what do the birds do?
Well,
you can focus on that. That's great if you want to do it, like what we were talking about with Skyrim and Avowed. But if your game doesn't play well, that's priority number one. And you can't even get past that.
It is. Like, I play Star Wars Galaxies sometimes, right? It doesn't matter. The graphics aren't the matter. It's whether the game works out. And there's some problems with Star Wars Galaxies. The CU, pre-CU, and stuff like that. With any game, there's some problems and stuff like that. But people love the game. It doesn't matter about the graphics, it's the game mechanics and everything. How good is the game mechanics? How good is the effects, special effects? Look at the mech right here. This is how
time on irrelevant tech demos. They're refining gameplay mechanics to perfection.
And I know I've done games for over 30 years. Actually, since I was a kid, 40 plus years, but I've worked on games for 25 plus years and stuff. I've done betas, all kinds of stuff. And a lot of the reasons why a lot of games do not do better is because they only listen to the hardcore people versus all the people that can make things better. And you got to incorporate both sides and everything, not just the hardcore. And I'm talking about, like, say, Battlefield games and stuff like that. They could have done a lot better.
They aren't ballooning their budgets to insane proportions for the most useless things. They aren't trying to be Hollywood. Yeah. They're trying to be video games.
By the way, leave a comment, leave a like. I do this so people can chat about stuff. I'm really sorry I could not get those pictures on here. I'll have to do that another time. I wanted to do it right here, but somehow it didn't with the OBS or Streamlabs. The Streamlabs, not OBS that I'm using. It could be really bitchy to use sometimes. So it's not YouTube, actually. I always think that would be because they'd be afraid that I'd put something. Hell no.
I've been replaying Armored Core 6, and it's one of the most visually stunning games that I've played. But here's the thing. It's not chasing photorealism. It's designed in a way that tricks you to feel like it is. You're so immersed in the gameplay, so locked into the experience that you don't care about environmental destruction or...
You're flying. Look at the visuals. Look at that. You're flying. Look at that rocket. The animation. Look at this. The mountains and everything. The visuals. Gorgeous. That's another reason why this stuff sells. Now, I'm not into doing all this. I don't know. It's just there's another mecha game that I'll try. I've done some mecha games, that mecha thing, that demo, I'm going to try it out and stuff. Usually I just don't have time for games. I usually don't. I just don't have time for it. So if I do something, I want to get in, get out fast.
Ray trace reflections because the game is so damn good that you don't.
Well, I'll give people a little bit of a heads up. Nobody ever cared about environmental destruction. Or actually, people do like that.
Beautiful.
Or like ray tracing or anything like that. This is all something that
choreography.
This doesn't sell a game.
Sells.
At the bottom line, it does not sell a game. It's nice if the game has it, but it will not sell the game.
Need those things. Then I go back to Western AAA games, and what do I get? A checklist simulator, a tutorial that assumes that I've never touched a controller before, a protagonist that will not shut up, constantly telling me what to think and what to feel, a game world that exists only to make a point, not to be explored. And their obsession with open world bloat, because why make a game feel big when you can make it look big? Western developers want to force you through a message. Eastern developers want you to lose yourself in the experience. They aren't holding your hand.
I think that's a really good point that he brings up too. Is
why make a game where you have to kill your heroes? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you that stupid and retarded? If anything, you want to play your heroes. You don't want to play a group of people that you don't identify with, that you don't care to identify with. There's a small group. They're catered towards a small group of people, with this Justice League versus Suicide Squad. I usually erase this stuff from my memory, because I don't care to remember this crap, But I mean, it's like you want to play Superman, you want to play Wonder Woman, hell, even the Titans, Teen Titans, Superboy, Nightwing, Flash, all these other characters and everything. You don't want the bad guys are mercenaries for a reason. They're their own team and everything. You don't want to play a game where you can't play
that there is a level of escapism that Western video games, and especially American video games, don't want you to have.
They went anti-heroes. It's like, we hate our heroes. We hate the heroes. They even race swapped some heroes as well. That's not okay. That's not okay. That's racism. Or making them what they're not, being gay or whatever. That's like, to me, it's like, I gotta be careful of the words I use, but for me, it'd be like raping the soul. It's like raping the soul in a way. Because what I create, somebody takes something that I create, that's my soul. I'm fleshing it out. And then somebody takes my creation or their creation that's from the 1930s or early 40s, and they're saying, "Oh, we can't do that. We got to make them gay. We got to make them black instead of white, or whatever." It's like, this is where I come in. It's like I say, you make your own IP. Don't take somebody else's creation and stuff like that. You don't do that. That's wrong. You can't do that. It's like, they say, well, this is new continuity. This is canon. No, it's not. You trash somebody else. That's somebody else's creation. You can't do that. They say, well, I bought it. No, it doesn't matter. You can't buy somebody else's creation. They can't fight back if they're dead. If they're dead, they can't fight back. They don't have a say. DC, Marvel, whatever, doesn't matter. Star Wars, same.
And I feel like a lot of Western video games, it's kind of like, what a good example of this is that, were you guys ever in AP or pre-AP English class in high school? And you would have to hear about everything, how everything was a metaphor for slavery or something like that. And like at a certain point, you just ask yourself, is this actually what the author intended? Or is this just what this dumb bitch keeps saying because she wants to have a job? I think that's where we're at.
That's it. Yeah.
It was annoying as fuck. Yeah, it's so...
Well, I mean, the thing is with games and comics and other stuff, is that they have these social political think tanks, DEI think tanks. And they say, well, we think you should change the race, the color of this person. You should make them gay, lesbian, or whatever. And me, I make characters. Okay, I know adult stars. Okay, they're bi, they're not straight. And the thing is, there's a difference. I have my own creation. I have my own stories. They're beautiful. They're sexy. There's action. There's killing, destroying the enemy, all that stuff. There's a right way and a wrong way to do this stuff. You don't take somebody else's IP and ruin it. That's the wrong way.
Fucking annoying. It's like, no, not everything is a fucking metaphor. Like, sometimes people are just talking about this in a general sense.
Painfully self-important narrative filled with stiff, corporate-safe writing, they're letting you engage with a world that feels alive. Eastern games are just built...
And the thing is, corporate doesn't give a shit about what they put out. They know they're losing billions of dollars. They don't care. They become weaponized in putting this social, political, ideological agenda out. And they say, we're going to force it to you, we're going to shove it up your ass or down your throat. Whether you like it or not, you're going to like it or don't buy it. We don't care. It's like, people just don't, you know. They want to play a game. They don't want politics, social politics in it. They don't want an agenda. We want to go out there, kill the enemy. We want to look good. We want to look sexy doing it.
Or Refantasio? Well, the reason why Metaphor Refantasio is good is because they allow Luis Guilloburn to be a force to be reckoned with. Like, he is honorable. He never lies.
Why did you say Luigi?
He's strong. He's competent. Now, he might be evil, but it's not like he's it's not like he's an inferior person in a lot of ways, if that makes sense, right? Like, they're not afraid to give villains that encapsulate and incorporate like, these villains play the role.
Honestly, I don't care if they have people that are buying games. I really don't. I just think it's, as long as it's not forced, you don't force it. I could care less. Or anything. It's how they try and force it here in America, and you know, some of these games, you know, Western ones versus the Eastern ones, and in Japan specifically, and in Asia, or it's China, or Vietnam, or some South Asian countries. It's not political. People aren't weaponized against each other. If they're bi or gay, they're not weaponized here, and that's the fault. I think it's because of religion here, Western religion, how it is here, that both sides are constantly trying to kill each other off. It seems like weaponized against each other, which I don't even like any of that. It's like, be who you want to be. I don't care. I really don't. I love all people as long as they love and respect me. Or respect me, I should say. I don't expect people to love me. But respect me, and I respect you. You know what I'm saying? Don't force what your beliefs on me, whether it's religious or, you know, LGBTQ. I support and love all people as long as they don't force their agenda on me. You know, when they do, I'm gonna lash out. I'm going to lash out and attack that. You know, I just want to live my life and without the BS and everything.
That real life villains in the past have played historically, but they're not afraid to give those villains positive attributes. And I think that with American games, a lot of these games are afraid to give villains positive attributes because they're worried that people might like the villains. And Luis was fucking cool. He was so fucking cool. He was awesome. It's the same as like that Senator Armstrong guy in what do you call it? A Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. That's it. People love Thanos. Yeah, it's such a stupid perspective to have, but again, it's a perspective that's informed by 12th grade AP English theater students that are trying to write a story so they can indirectly own Donald Trump. That's it. Or Elon Musk. Or actually, why not both?
That's why they are dominating, and that's why they're going to continue to dominate. It's going to make it harder and harder for a lot of these Western studios to be able to stay relevant. Now, Japanese games being popular isn't anything new. In many ways, Japan is what built the foundation of modern gaming. If it wasn't for Nintendo dragging the industry out of the gutter in 1983, well, we probably wouldn't even be having this conversation. But we're not just talking about Japan. It's China, it's Korea, and beyond. Apparently, nobody took notice that 2024 featured an entire wave of Eastern studios stepping into the AAA space, shaking up the industry, and forcing Western studios to confront the reality that they're not the only game in town anymore. And I noticed this shift when I saw historically mobile studios start to step up into the AAA premium game space.
I love this, by the way. I think this is fucking hilarious. That, like, not only... So this is, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. And you have this game... And these people that made this shitty bullshit gacha game just decided, hey, you know what? What if we just made a really good game? And you know what they did? They made a really good game. That's it.
Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. This was a game by Side Games, a studio known for gacha games like Grand Blue Fantasy and Shadowverse. Why would they suddenly decide to make a AAA, full production, full-priced game unless they...
I mean, this goes back. Look at Stellar Blade. Is that there are Asian games, strong female characters, but people know it's not a forced agenda. And like with some of the adult stars I know, take like one of them was Carly Gray, and I made her fucking kick ass. And she could kick ass. And she kicked my ass, my character, in that. And stuff. And there's humor, action, killing, blood, everything. I can't use blood on that site, unfortunately. Even though it's an 18 plus site, but I digress. Makes no sense. But anyways, I make strong female characters too. There's a wrong way and a right way of doing this. There always is.
Knew it was a smart investment, unless they saw an area of opportunity. Turns out they did, because Grand Blue Fantasy Relink sold 1 million copies in just 11 days, and it has still continued to sell, and the players loved it. Then it happened again with Stellar Blade. Shift Up, another gacha.
It was also very well liked by the player base. A lot of people that played it enjoyed the game.
A studio jumped into AAA gaming, and the result, another massive success.
Wow.
A game that sold over 1 million copies.
Just
it's likely to outsell its PlayStation numbers entirely once it actually launches on PC.
I have a feeling Stellar Blade will have a lot more sales on PC.
What?
I think we all know why. Stellar Blade will have a lot more sales on PC. I think we all know why.
Oh, yes.
Otters are going to have a field day with this one. Then a first-time Chinese studio delivers a...
You damn tootin' right they will. You damn tootin' right Otters will. You bet your
AAA cultural masterpiece in Black Myth Wukong. A game that shattered Steam's concurrent player records and sold 20 million copies in 1 month. It was bold, visually stunning.
Think about that. Selling 20 million copies in 1 month, and it didn't win Game of the Year. Like,
that's complete bullshit. They had a stupid robot guy win Game of the Year. What the fuck is up with that? Nobody knows what that stupid game was. Nobody was like, what the fuck? You know what? That's fixed. You know the Game Awards is fixed. at that point. Close your mouth, Ozzy. We don't want to see all the dentures, the beautiful porcelain dentures and everything. Just kidding.
Actually,
all right.
I view this as like, this was outrageous that happened. The big, for political reasons, I still believe this. You guys can call me conspiracy Andy all you want.
It was. Say I'm wrong. It was. It was.
I think that Black Myth Wukong undeniably deserved Game of the Year.
Wukong!
And the only reason why it didn't win was for political reasons. I straight up believe that. Yep. I actually do. I'm not sorry.
Yep, straight up.
Rooted in mythology, blending diverse storytelling techniques and cinematic cutscenes. Had exhilarating combat that just kept you hooked. Its tight linear progression, light yet meaningful customization stripped away any necessary bloat. Just offered a pure, content-rich experience that pulled you in and refused to let you go. And who could forget Pal World, allegedly made for under $7 million, reaching 25 million players with 15 million copies sold on Steam. A game that crystallizes just about everything players have been asking for, what they've wanted, the freedom that they've wanted. Finally, we saw the release of Marvel Rivals.
That's another great example, is that Pal World, like even now, like if I pull up Pal World at this very moment, it has 60,000 people online in its last peak. And the last update they had was like months ago.
Fuck.
Even now. It's insane.
Players right now 36,000.
It's also on Game Pass? Yeah, but those numbers aren't being included on Game Pass. So the numbers are even more impressive, I would say.
Warming onto the scene with stylized characters, great gameplay, killer performance, non-intrusive monetization, and overall just a fun experience for players that helped the game reach over 600,000 concurrent players on Steam with over 20 million downloads across all platforms.
Now, Marvel Rivals, what they need to do, and hear me out on this, what if they had like a mode in the game where instead of fighting against like other, let's say like other heroes in Marvel, what if you fought against like monsters and it was like a dungeon or like a PvE experience, right? I feel like that would be a really, really cool idea. If they added PvE content to Marvel Rivals, imagine that.
But it doesn't have to be. The thing is, some people say Battle Royale, some people say PvE. If you're to do PvE, then don't just make it monsters. That's a total different game, though. But it would sell. There's so much they could do. Make it open world. Stuff like that. You have NPC characters, and then you have monsters, and you have, evil dark forces. You have to kill and destroy and be a hero or whatever. Even the villains could be a hero. There is a lot of stuff you could do, but that costs a lot of money. But
you have like certain characters like whole talent trees and everything. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like they could do it.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. The success of these games, the shift is undeniable, and it's not slowing down. 2025 is already shaping up to be another massive year for Eastern developers. Monster Hunter Wilds is going to explode, potentially breaking over.
I think that the majority of this game, like I would say, Japan has been dominant in the video game industry ever since the video game industry has existed in America, basically. But the big difference here is that you're seeing Korean developers actually bring in. Because Korean developers have always existed in the American market, but they've been pretty much always relegated to mobile and pay-to-win, gacha-style MMO games. And I think that now they're developing games that are much larger in scope. Besides that, I think that...
let's be honest, what they're called, scam games. Scam games. They put out a game, they just want to fleece you of all your money. And in those games, you need to stay away from South Korea and stuff anywhere. They're good doing
Kazan First Berserker is one example of that. But the big one, honestly, the 80% here is China. China are the ones that are building and making the really big games now. And the other big reason for it, I'm going to be honest, you want to talk about real soft power? How about having everybody in the fucking
Sorry,
world think
one.
that your mythology is one of the best games that came out this year? That's real soft power, not a transsexual Sesame Street play in Iraq. That's real soft power.
For a million concurrent players on Steam, I could easily see it. I mean, Monster Hunter World, quintupled engagement across the entire franchise, so there's no telling.
We take all of the money from USAID, we give it to Rockstar to make a game of the 12 Trials of Hercules.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto, you got Red Dead Redemption.
That's right. That's right. That would be insane.
What did you say? I talked over it.
Of the 12 Trials of Hercules.
Oh, yeah! Oh, fuck yeah. Hercules.
That's right.
The Greek gods. Right. There's so much potential.
That would be insane.
Greek gods. Holy shit. And make it adult. Make it adult. Not kiddie stuff. Like The Witcher, where it has even some sex stuff in it, I'd be for that as well. So rats, sex, everything. I want everything. I don't want stupid kid stuff. I don't like that. Have the violence, have the killing, all that stuff, have the blood and everything. The carnage, everything, like it used to be.
How far this new entry can go. Players are already excited for.
I'd also, yeah. Like Witcher 4 that has Siri. That's going to happen. I want to play that. I want to play Siri though. But, I mean, everybody knew that had an IQ knows that Witcher 4 is going to be Siri. I don't have a problem with that. I don't. That's what The Witcher 4 was about. Getting to Siri. Saving Siri. That's what it's about. As well as, side quests and main quests and, main character,
Phantom Blade Zero, Revolution, Feathers, Light of Motrium, and Tides of Annihilation, all made by Chinese studios stepping up to steal the show. And after seeing all these successes and the engagement that I'm seeing from the players, how excited people are for some of these games that are coming out, I think that Eastern studios have figured out what Western gaming has refused to accept. That the layoffs, the cancellations, the flops aren't because gaming is dying. Players aren't leaving games, they're leaving Western games. Yep. They're seeing an industry that's at war with its own audience. They see the greed, the
That's a really good way of putting it. Yeah, at war with its own audience.
That's
exactly what it is.
I want to play that game.
Yep. When did propaganda get changed to soft power?
I want to play
that. It never did. It's just a new definition.
Arrogance and the creative bankruptcy, and they're
stepping in to
explode. Yeah.
I'll take what Western studios have abandoned. And I think that the industry is threatened by this.
Always
and they
has
should
been.
be, to be honest with you. I mean, look at the way that game.
That's how you make a woman. Women have breasts. Women have tits. They do. Okay? Stop injecting other BS into these Western games. Stop doing that. You have this, so sexy, spiel, and she's a villain. And everything.
Games media reacted to some of these releases because while Stellar Blade reviewed relatively well, it wasn't without controversy. Heck, they actually had to write an article to tell everybody, why is Stellar Blade so controversial? Are attractive characters unrealistic?
They are for...
No.
They are for women in America.
They are for some guys, yeah.
Female beauty standards.
Guys, yeah, some people, yeah. The thing is, a lot of these nut jobs that make this, a lot of ladies, they're nut jobs that want, the DEI stuff and everything else. Same with some guys that are into as well. But most of these are run by females that don't like this. You know why? Because they don't look that good. They don't. Or they're so messed up in the head that it's like, oh my God, we can't have good looking. That's sexist. That's misogyny. Shut the fuck up. There's no such word as misogyny. It's a made-up word. It's a made-up word that people do, and they just, here, we're going to put a dictionary now. Now it's real. No, it's not. You can say the same thing about women thinking the same way and stuff like that.
And gaming need to evolve.
Bullshit.
I'm sorry, but saying that beauty standards need to evolve is like saying that gravity needs to be more inclusive.
Well, to be fair, with a lot of the people saying beauty standards need to evolve,
They
also
would say
probably
that.
also
They
have
would
a
say
problem
that
with
bullshit.
gravity.
They would.
If you know what I mean.
Mathematics. 2 + 2
Try
=
to change
5.
reality all
Yeah.
you want, but people will
Retarded.
always be drawn to what they find appealing.
Yeah.
That's it. And then came Black Myth
just
Wukong,
ridiculous.
and that's what they absolutely lost
They
it.
hate it.
Developers not responding to the
Yeah.
accusations that they made up, not responding to the...
What about this? Like, well, we made up a bunch of stuff about you. Aren't you going to address this and come to the table and play the game that we've created that you lose in? Like, why aren't you playing our game that you lose in? Wait a minute! But I set the chessboard up so I can
Reality's
checkmate
not
you. Why don't
inclusive.
you want to play the game? You can't just ignore us. No, you can't sell 20 million copies. What are you doing?
I can see them saying, well, we gotta change gravity because it's not inclusive, and we really need to change that because it really brings us down, and we can't have that. And so we need to change gravity to be more inclusive because it's not helping. And we need to be able to jump further, and I like to be able to fly myself, but we can't. So we need to change gravity too, not just make women uglier and not have breasts, and chop them off. We can't have that. We need to be more inclusive. You're destroying your audience. You're destroying your
Their
audience.
headquarters being vandalized because of the accusations they made, not answering questions about inclusivity in a game about a monkey. That's when it became painfully clear. The industry
No,
is...
the worst thing that was clear about that is the self-report of all the developers saying that all the reviewers saying that there were no women in the game. All you did is self-report that you didn't even finish the game.
They're so retarded. They're so retarded that they said there's no inclusivity. There's lots of women, goddesses. Okay, Wukong has female gods. Okay, in Asia they have female gods, deities. But these retards were all saying that no, it's not inclusive. Yes, it is. It can only be black people, or whatever, or have trans or whatever, or whatever, or ugly girls and stuff like that. You can't have sexy women. It can only be ugly. And that's the problem. It should be sexy. It should be hot. The gaming should be good. Action. That's what Wukong has. It's like people should look up, Wukong and Journey to the West, Buddhism, Taoism, Taoism, all this stuff, because it has Hindu, a lot of Buddhism, Hindu religions, all sorts of stuff, and everything. And it's like, it's very inclusive. Okay, even the male deities in Hinduism look female, but, stuff like that. But some of them do. Lipstick and makeup and everything else.
You played through the first chapter or two. You never finished the game because you'd know that the entire fourth chapter is all about women.
It's all about the game is diversity, equity, and inclusion. I hate that. It is diversity. But because it's Asian, because they're racist pigs. Because these racist twats is what they are, and it's like they're saying, "Oh my God, it's not. You need to have gay, lesbian, trans." Like, dude, some of these religions and stuff like that. The thing is, you can be whatever you want to be over there, and they're not going to so much as attack you over there. They just don't have all these political forces fighting over it like they do here. Like I said, that's because of religion, and people had to fight for it here, for the rights here. They had to fight for it. Whereas over there, It's been, hundreds of years, that, samurai take a gay lover, apprentice as a lover. It's not a big deal as much over there. It's not. It's just over here in the West where it is. It's all fucked up here. And people are going to take my words and try to spin it a certain way probably, but like I said, I love all people, but it's how they inject it, how they force it, and everything. Whereas back east, they don't. If you don't like it, don't buy it.
It's not even true.
Terrified of these rising Korean and Chinese studios because they can't control them, so they attack them instead. The only controversy surrounding these games was fabricated by media outlets desperately trying to reinforce their own narrative and their own worldviews. And it became laughably obvious once reviews started rolling in for Black Myth Wukong, with multiple critics slamming the game for a lack of female characters and diversity, not realizing...
Dude, bro, like, if you are a reviewer, you're...
The thing is, retarded people are actually smarter than these people. I use the R word because the thing is, I was always called that as a kid. I was always called that because I was half deaf and everything, so... Before somebody tries to judge me...
Doing that?
Shut up.
Like, again, bro, like, I don't know, like, CERN or, like, NASA needs to hire these people because somehow these games journalists have managed to take their credibility and divide it by zero.
Buddhism,
Physically impossible. They've...
Hinduism, with these things, you got Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, Taoism. It's all this stuff. They got different deities and stuff like that. Female, it's not just male, there's female deities, gods, and everything else. But Western zealots, press, that nobody should listen to, don't mention that. They want to brainwash people and say, it's racist not to have a black person or not to have, gay, lesbian, or whatever. And the thing is, they have gay, bisexual stuff. They have all that different type of stuff. It's just nobody looks into it. Nobody does their research, and it's not a big deal over there. It's not, people are trying to kill each other over. There's all the extremism.
They've broken the limits.
I think that women played a key role Act 3 and beyond.
Yeah.
I brought this up before. I think I showed it off in one of my last videos, but it still blows my mind that Inverse would straight up call anyone who bought the game Chinese nationalists and anti-woke.
Wait, what? Black Myth Wukong isn't even good, but that won't stop Chinese nationalist and anti-woke sales? It isn't even good. Also, like...
What an idiot.
Nowhere in the game did it say China was good. The only thing that they said at all that was a realistic, relevance is that apparently there was that statue, like the guy, the headless guy with that would do the thing in Chapter 2. Apparently that statue is real, and apparently Britain or somebody like that had the head of the statue, and they just semi-recently gave it back to China. So the Rat King running around with the fucking head... And to be fair, they were being rats. That's not their fucking head. That's not their statue. They should have given it back, and they did. That's good. It was amazing.
Facts.
Thinking, look how detached from reality media has become.
Yes.
Fun action game, no political messaging, monkey with the big stick, go bomb. Yeah, that's fascist. This is about an industry that is panicking. Western publishers and media have spent the last decade trying to dictate what players should want, and now it's backfiring. Eastern studios aren't arguing with their audience. They're just giving them what they want. Hell, I just saw that Marvel Rivals had planned to do mid-season rank resets. The players said no, and Marvel Rivals just said, okay, that's fine. I think that's what a lot of the industry has gotten away from, not what games should be about.
Usually when they do a rank reset, for me, it doesn't really matter.
Not what games should be, but who games are for. Eastern studios, pretty much across the board, are just doing a better job at recognizing what players want and are giving it to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need to do to succeed. A lot of Western developers and media are just so caught up.
You just look at what people want, and then you give them the thing that they want. I know, like, how could, like, imagine your job is that easy and you just keep messing it up. How do you keep messing that up? I feel like it's pretty easy, isn't it?
In today's events and politics, that they're forgetting that players are playing games to escape from that. Eastern games are thriving because they're not chasing trends or politics. They're chasing timeless experiences. They're crafting worlds that players want to revisit years from now. Not just ones that are going to give you Twitter engagement for a few weeks before fading into irrelevance.
Yeah.
Just the topical nature of Western games is already a death sentence. I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm like, I played Borderlands 3 a few years ago, and the entire time I was playing it, I was like, dude, nobody's going to remember any of these pop culture references, any of these cringe jokes or anything like that, because it was just so modern day. It was so today for that game when it released. And I'm like, people aren't going to...
You know who makes a lot of these, like, inside jokes and everything? And, like, some of it is okay because it's kind of like, it's a parody of itself, like Deadpool. But do you know who does it? Fat, boring, lame millennials with Funko Pops. On antidepressants.
Oh my god.
That's who it is. That is your enemy.
I know what Funko Pops are.
I was thinking about Dragon Age the Veilguard. Do you think 20 years from now somebody's going to pick up that game and go, what's this about? What are they even talking about in this?
Yeah, that's the reason.
Eastern studios have just been so much more...
That's actually a good question. Yeah, what is non-binary going to look like in 20 years?
Well, when I first heard of non-binary, I thought binary stars. This is how much older I am. This is crazies. I don't know. I know some also those stars as well, or they don't like to, they don't refer to me as her or as a girl. It's like, all right, if I accidentally do it, don't hold it against me. And I guess there's a reason why we don't chat. If you're worried about offending somebody so much, you're not going to talk to them. I love her. I love her very much. I have a lot of respect for her. If she, see herself as a bad woman, that's fine. But, that's your spirit. That's who you are. I love her, but it's like, it's crazy also. It sounds stupid, ridiculous, but I get it. I understand it. That's her spirit. That's who she is. And everything. Not binary. I just see binary stars. It's like when I found out, so I was like, what's that? Non-binary stars? I see astronomy. That's still what I think. A lot of times, binary or whatever. It's like binary stars. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I wonder because that's crazy to think about it. Oh man. Wow.
More consistent. They don't have any of that extra bullshit that's in there. We just see the normal complaints from them. I think that's another thing to think about as well. When you think about some of these Eastern studios, the vast majority of controversy that surrounds them is the normal stuff. Day one performance, patches, expansion content, microtransactions. I want to go back to those days, man. I'm getting sick and tired of talking about some of these issues with some of these Western games. You don't see their develop.
There was a time before these guys were born, before they were in the womb, before their parents even got together. I was playing games back in the early 80s. They would have thought about, well, if they could have, back then it wasn't corporate, the games. They weren't interested in doing, shafting the players. They wanted to make a game that everyone loved. They're just worried about making a good game. And we played games. Whereas 8-bit, 16-bit, 32, 64-bit, etc. That's what they did. They want to they're passionate about making games for the player. And even if it's 8-bit, 2D is a great game. I mean, we get pissed off and break stuff when we failed. But we loved it! Oh, God. Those days, man. I missed it when gaming companies tried, this includes EA, stuff like that. EA, back in the time, just wanted to make great games. They didn't care about the BS. And now it's just a shit show, pretty much, where they're throwing feces at us. You know, these companies and everything, including Bioware and Broadsword, you know, off from that. So.
They're mentally ill developers going on Twitter and having a meltdown to keep their politics and their opinions out of their games and out of the public eye, and they just focus on doing their job.
Yeah, they just do their job. It's the same as, like, you know, I look at like one of these Western game, like, this is probably a bad take, but that's my job here, right? Every time that I go and I look at a Western game development studio and it looks like a Chuck E. Cheese, and then I go and I look at like the From Software studio or the Square Enix studio, and it's a bunch of people sitting in their cubicles working, I start to notice a pattern.
You do. You see those patterns of who is free.
I'm just saying I notice a pattern.
Games do the talking instead. And, oh man, their games
are Business Unit 3.
You know, it's been a while since I've done a review. I need to do a review. I've been playing Armored Core 6 again, and it is insane how good that game is.
It's just the only thing that's bad about Armored Core 6 is that the DLC for it hasn't come out yet.
It's absurd how good that game is and how little spotlight it got. The players that loved it,
I played the whole thing.
They loved it. The players that don't haven't played it yet.
Well, it's a mech game, right? The problem is, like, mech stuff was so big in the 90s and the 2000s, and, like, he remembers this, right?
Well, the 80s, they had Robotech. I remember Robotech, they had Gundam and everything. I remember getting this stuff from Japan, not the stupid US, from Japan. And the Japanese would have, you know, they'd have a subtitle and stuff. Man, I love Japanimation anime stuff, man. Man.
Like, back whenever we were kids, it was so big. But then, like, they started trying to make mech games in, like, the GameCube and, like a 360 era. They tried making them, like, super realistic.
It was too hard.
And it ended up not being fun. And, like, now we're going back to mech.
Let me see. I have some mech games. Other people may not like it because it's slow. They're huge robots. They're not like, you know, these other mech games Armored Core. I might end up liking it. I might, but I just don't. I don't have time for all that, and I have time to lose and keep doing it over and over. I don't have time for that. I want to get in, blow stuff up like a storm, and stuff like that. So I mean, and I want the human element. I want it to be on Titanfall. Yeah. I want the human element with it as well. Now, I don't want to just play a mech. I want to play the human element as well. And then go into a mech and blow things up. I remember Titanfall PvP. God, there's so many cheaters, so...
Mech games being massive with things like Mecha Break. Like, we had Mecha Break earlier. This came out just like a few,
I guess, like a few days ago.
Actually, today. Let me see if I can find it and pull it up again. Mecha Break, and then this is the demo. Today, it peaked at 300,000 players for the demo for the game.
Holy shit!
Fucking insane. absolutely fucking insane.
Fucking
so mech
insane.
games are coming back.
You have to make it the right way.
Oh, beautiful.
Well,
But they
just
don't
say
do
kill a whole
anything
lot
like
of
trying to make sure that I can see my
Are they?
reflection
You
in
play-
the
are they?
visor of an enemy mech or anything like that.
Yeah.
They don't waste a bunch of time and money and resources on all these weird fidelity things that just aren't necessary for a game like that. They just make it tight controls, incredible gameplay, really good story. Heck, it's one of the best stories that I've experienced in a game over the last few years.
That's a good
Outside of
story.
couple outliers, of course. There's some really good ones that are out there.
Yeah.
But 90% of it was from text. Like, it was just a pop-up on screen and a voice.
Well, that doesn't say a lot. I mean, fuck. Like, most of those text-based adventure games have a better story than any AAA American.
Just a demo of Mecha Breakers. That demo died down. That's 25 gigs. That's no joke. 25, 27 gigs. So you know there's a lot of special effects, graphical stuff, and everything that.
Game, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
and like the
shit.
big difference to me, like, you know what the real shocker to me was with Yakuza. I was playing that Yakuza pirate game, and I was like, wow, this is actually a complex
wanna
storyline,
get that.
and it's not super black and white, and it's
They
interesting,
are.
and the characters are complex. And then I've been playing
Yakuza
Avowed
was.
as well, and it's just sad. It's really just sad.
Oh, sorry. Did I,
that was it.
Love
There's
you.
no
I
cutscenes
love
or
you.
anything like
I
that.
do, but-
Wasn't necessary. They didn't need that because they just focused on it being.
Look at it this way, Ozzy. You got all the money to burn, okay? People like me, it's like, that's a whole month. Bullshit. I'd rather blow my money on women, dude, and I do. Oh my god. Anyways, man. Valve was, oh man. I knew it would be.
Being
I knew
pure
it.
gameplay. Man, it's so.
Yeah, no, the other game like that is mouth washing. Like I remember, because like I was even talking to Emmy about this. Like she loved that game, and it's like one of the things that I would say really defines whether a game is good or not is how much you think about the game after you play it. And like that's the kind of game that like you think about long term
True.
because of how complex and how good it was. And like that's really the way I see
Red
it.
Dead
What's your excuse for
Redemption
Yakuza having a low player base?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really have an excuse. Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it just didn't resonate with a lot of people. Like Armored Core 6 didn't have a crazy high player base either, honestly.
Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Yeah, it didn't. That doesn't make the game bad. Like, so the thing is that, and it's disappointing though. Like, you bring up a good point, don't you?
Yes.
Because like, I would love it if Armored Core 6 peaked at
old
1
Dragon
million
Age,
players.
dude.
Because if it did, we'd probably already have Armored Core 7. And we'd have, you know, like Battle Core and, you know, Mech Core and all these other games. Now, we did get Mecha Break, which is
The
nice,
Toggle
but I want
Core.
more of them.
Good. That's what players want. That's
It's a
what
niche
these
game like
Eastern
Metaphor.
studios have
Yeah.
been delivering. No nonsense, all gameplay. Give the players what they need.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's why they've been succeeding, and that's why some of these Western games have been failing. Because, you know, I think they got comfortable. They had a stranglehold on the industry. They had more money.
It's not
more...
that they're comfortable, it's that they're insulated. They're insulated by these, by the media that they work hand in hand with in order to push narratives that are
They jerk each
basically
other off.
player
pretty
unfriendly.
much.
That's the difference.
They pretty much jerk each other
developers,
off.
more
That's
resources,
the
more
thing.
experience. But now you have some of these studios that are popping up in some of these other countries that aren't under their influence. A lot of them are really inexperienced, but they got the people to be able to do it, and they're learning pretty quick. Developer tools, the barrier to entry to make a video game is way lower than it's ever.
I so wanted to show my characters and what they look like. Fuck, I hate Streamlabs. They can be so shitty sometimes. They can.
Ever been before, and that's a
Oh.
major threat for some of these companies.
That's why so many games are being
Companies
made
that
in Unreal
forgot
5.
how to treat us like customers, and it makes me. I was wondering why Black Myth Wukong and
Well, they're using this as a psychological experiment. They're trying to brainwash us. They force it on us. Those that like to take it forced up the ass or down the throat, nobody likes that. That's not how you do it. There's a right way and wrong way to have, that other stuff on there. And it's not going to sell as much. It's not going to sell as much by just saying there's a right way and wrong way of doing it. I mean, that's just the way people are. It's not going to sell as much either. The stuff that I do is only for a certain niche of people, It has all this, it has blood-sucking vampirism, sex, and it has blood carnage, action. It has everything. It has humor as well. Funny humor. It has like lightsabers, all sorts of stuff, and also force powers, but it's beyond the force. It's beyond.
Stellar Blade had this weird, anti-Asian, anti-Chinese rhetoric among games media in a lot of different circles. I mean, they had the one person that said, if you bought the game or the people that made the game successful were Chinese nationalists and the anti-woke. The reason why they say that is because it's meant to sound evil.
It's you're the bad guy. Now you're the bad guy. And also, I am an appreciator of Chinese culture. I think it's incredible. It's one of the oldest cultures in the entire world. America's 250 years old. China's 3,000 years old. That's incredible. That's amazing. You can appreciate.
There's a lot of Chinese history that's 5,000 years. Same with the pyramids, the Egyptians, and everything. That's 8,000 years. That's 8 to 10. That's at least 8,000. And there's a lot of prehistory China that's suppressed, that people don't know about, with pyramids and stuff like that. A lot censored and everything. And, ETs, UFOs and stuff like that. I mean, not just that, but you're talking about without ETs, UFOs, stuff like that, there's a lot of suppression. You got the same with India. Thousands upon thousands of years of history, rich history, that could be used in games. But over there, they don't know how to make it to porn stuff and make all that stuff. They make great movies, hours and hours long movies I could get into. If it's good, I could get into that.
Chinese culture and Chinese mythology without actively subscribing to everything that the current government thinks.
Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism,
of course,
all stuff. It's awesome.
It's meant to be disparaging. These countries have a culture that's counter to theirs. They can't let that stand. But these studios aren't just a threat because they counter their culture. They're not just a threat because of the fact that, their games are delivering what players want. They're a threat because they have something that the rest of the industry is going to have a real hard time with. They can make games far cheaper and far faster than anybody else in the entire industry. That's going to be a big problem. Because as they create more games, and they overwhelm the rest of the industry, the rest of the industry is not going to be competing with them. They're going to be swallowed by them.
That's what's going to happen with AI, too. That's why Trump was right. I was because people are mad that Trump got rid of some of the ethical concerns with AI. The fact is that if the other countries aren't doing this and you're doing it, you're going to lose.
I hate Trump.
That's it. You just lose.
It's there to replace humans.
That's all there is to it. You can.
And like I said, Stargate, he buried the real Stargate. So he has no reason to, declassify all the stuff on UFOs, psychic programs, psionics, remote viewing. The son of a bitch tried to bury it. The real thing that happened was stupid AI. AI is there to replace humans, not enable it.
You can lose with dignity, But usually after you lose, you don't keep a lot of dignity, especially with something that big.
The rise of Eastern studios isn't just a trend, it's a foundational shift in the industry. What we're seeing right now isn't just one or two breakout hits, it's an entire new wave of studios that's stepping out onto the global stage. And the scary part is...
Alright, there's the argument AI could do some stuff. Yeah, it can, but it's mostly there to replace. It's there to, it's like people's creativity. It's there to replace creativity. Sometimes it can help it as well. I get that. But it's mostly there to replace it. And how people don't have the brains to create, so they use AI. And robots, the same thing. We have robots and stuff like that. It's just, it's not mainstream news how, you know,
is for Western developers, they're only going to get better. Most of these companies are still in their infancy, yet they're already disrupting the market. Game Science, as an example, the developers of Black Myth Wukong, had never made a AAA game before, yet they produced a title that sold 20 million copies for only $43 million. Given the average salaries of shift-up employees...
This is like that fucking thing in Iron Man 1. It's like Tony Stark built this in a cave. And you can't build this with $1 billion? What are you doing?
In the West, it would be
Henry
500
Ford asked
mil.
for consumers what they wanted. Yeah. They would have asked for faster horses.
I say 400, 500
Now,
mil.
what do you think should happen to a person that spams in chat like this? What do you think should happen?
Henry Ford? What the hell is that?
And I want you to know that I saw your message previously. I didn't read it. The reason why I'm pulling you up is because you're spamming. It's not like spamming worked. I saw your message the first and the third and the fourth time, too. Do you have any last words before you're banished into the Shadow Realm?
The Shadow Realm? Shadow Realm?
Sure is. 07. See ya.
Stellar Blade cost an estimate between $40 to $50 million. Now imagine what these studios can do once they gain some more experience, more funding, and a deeper understanding of the global market. Unlike many of these Western AAA studios, which have been floundering despite decades of experience, these new developers aren't starting with bad habits. They're building up from a lean, focused, and player-driven production.
I've learned that most of the people that are involved are retarded. And usually a lot of money is wasted by or in service of those retarded people. Like, most systems are garbage. Most of them can be optimized. And the issue also is that, you know, you have the bureaucratic entropy, where you need managers to manage the managing managers.
Yes.
And this is, like, obviously multiplied when you have HR and other types of, you know, identity groups that are trying to make the company pay to keep them effectively on corporate welfare.
Higher failure rates and lower margins, yet somehow these guys keep spending and inflating their budgets even more instead of actually refining their gameplay. In contrast, Eastern studios are operating on a fraction of the cost, yet delivering polished, high-quality games that rival or surpass that of their Western counterparts. And I think the
sociological agenda, they need to just... They could make money if they didn't have that BS in their games. If they didn't have them, they're spending tens of millions of dollars on these DEI groups. Tens of millions. 100 million. I heard from this guy, not Osmond, but the other guy, like 100 million or something, close to that. Could be a bit off on it, but I believe it's that much. They're putting all their money to that BS. They don't care about the game. They don't care about gamers. and they put out shitty
The reasons
games.
for this are pretty straightforward.
So
they have a
obviously
focused
they'll
design
care if they lose
philosophy.
money.
Eastern studios
They
are
don't.
prioritizing gameplay first rather than
They'll care to play it.
overproduced
It's
cinematics and
yours.
unnecessary bloat. Their teams are more efficient. They're not building massive bloated development teams that take years to onboard and years to manage. Their production is more disciplined without the need for endless games as a service monetization.
This is again what I was saying before about the studios that look like a Chuck E. Cheese.
Models, they're just focused on delivering
I'm just
a
saying.
complete experience. And what's really scary for
gotta
a lot
be
of these
saying
Western
it.
publishers is that not only are these Eastern studios going to get better at their jobs, they're going to get more efficient over time. There's no denying that in some of these Eastern countries that they have lax labor laws that allow for faster, more demanding work cycles. It's
Yeah.
not a good thing from an ethical standpoint, but it's an advantage when it comes to pure production output.
It is
Beyond that, something else that works
This
to their
is something people need to understand is that
They
if other
get
people
done.
are doing something and you think that it's unethical, you
It's
either
not
need to
good
do
at
that
ethical
unethical
stuff.
thing or you lose to them. Because the reason why cheating is against the rules is because it is effective. There is no form of cheating that isn't against the rules generally that isn't effective. So you either play on that level or you lose. I remember this was true with RBGs back in Cataclysm
True.
and Mists of Pandaria.
True.
It's like you had to have a
True.
proxy. You had to do this. You had people that were DDoSing constantly. You had people that were kickbotting constantly, people that were botting constantly. And like if you didn't have this, then you would lose. Now, I decided to just quit the game at that point because I thought it was weird. But a lot of other
That's
people didn't.
weird. Well, that's weird.
so, like, that's it.
Get out.
Even
It's
easier with
weird.
screen peeking? Yeah, exactly. So integrity is
That's
optional.
weird.
No, integrity is not optional. Integrity is guaranteed not to exist in the highest level of competitive economics.
That's weird.
In any sort of extremely high stakes competition, you can guarantee that integrity will not be present.
Favor is that
lose a
workplace
lot,
culture in many of these Eastern studios rejects the Western industry's obsession with toxic positivity. The idea that all work must be praised, all
11 strategies for praising employee work without causing team resentment. I don't think this is a problematic, thing.
Yeah.
criticism must be soft, and
Yeah.
nobody can ever be called out for doing a bad job because in Eastern studios, criticism is direct and result driven. If you mess up, you're told directly. There's no hand-holding, no excuses, no performative social media activism. Employees are
That's
expected to
dangerous.
improve. Bad
Hardcore.
work doesn't just get a pass because it aligns with corporate social agendas. The game is
I
always
think this part is true too. I
Yeah.
do because
Well, it's like the West. I mean, it's like where Western used to become pussies in a lot of ways. It's not all work. I mean, but we should always be praised. We should for what we're successful in. We should be acknowledged. We should. But in this instance, when it comes to games, it has to do with the product. How well are you building the product? Are you a waste to the cause of getting that project built and done right? Or are we just going to give you praise over putting out a crappy product? Because that's what's happening here in the West with this, these games and everything. So.
like I feel like there's a big component where a lot of people can't take criticism, and I've always said this before. Like I remember whenever I would raid lead or whatever, is that if somebody can't take criticism, I just kick them out of the raid. Just kick them out. Who cares? Like get rid of them. There's no reason to tolerate a person like that. You can't deal with a person like that. If their ego is more important than the team's goals, then get them out.
Right.
Now, if you're dealing with an employee, I think that there's a lot of tact and, like personal, like, and you guys can ask anybody that's ever dealt with me, like ever in the history of dealing with me, nobody's ever had a bad experience. And again, you can take that to the bank. Ask anyone, right? Like I could be aloof or unresponsive, but have I ever been rude or hostile to somebody? Literally never. Never.
Yes.
And again, ask anyone. But my point is that criticism is not an attack. And I think that the focus with a lot of people is that people get too personally invested into things, and it becomes hard to criticize them because of that personal investment. And I think that's, again, like the narcissism. Like, I think that the West, and especially America, has a huge narcissism problem. And I think that narcissism problem manifests itself in the prevalence
of course, I've been rude bad to some people too, but when they're rude bad to me, I'd be rude bad back to them. So what goes around comes around type of thing. So You could say he could say the same with that. But.
Gambling, actually. I think that the amount of people that are hyper-focused and hyper-fixated on gambling, one of the reasons why is because they think they're special. They think they're the ones that's going to make all the money and they're going to win. And so, like, that's really a massive, massive component. And I think that hinges on narcissism.
Is the priority. Personal beliefs and cultural narratives don't override the responsibility to deliver a great product. Compare this to the West, where some developers are spending more time policing their communities rather than making better games. You've got studios that are hiring based on ideological alignment rather than skill, fearful of offending social media mobs and constantly engaging in PR firefighting.
Well, it's very obvious that this is the perspective, right? Like, you never see anybody in the gaming industry that's talking about, like, a lot of people in the gaming industry talk about politics and they talk about, like, political opinions, etc. But you never hear a single one of them say anything positive about Trump. And you could say, oh, well, that's because Trump's bad. But okay, sure. But if you take a sample size of the population, 50%, 30, 40% actually.
The thing is, when people on both sides are so toxic and weaponized and brainwashed by the other side that they can't acknowledge what's good for something, what's good. There's stuff that I love, and there's stuff that I hate about Trump. I'm always vocal about that. I'm not a political tool. I'm not a political weapon, because if you are, you shouldn't have a right to vote. You shouldn't have a right to vote. Your political party should be doing the voting for you then, if you believe in all the BS that they put out and everything, because you're just a tool of the party at that point. You don't have a mind. You're just a product of a political institution. Just a tool.
Realistically, don't think Trump is bad. How is it that every single one of them over there thinks that? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because they're hiring and they're basing their interactions and their what's the word for it? Like the interactions, like their coordination and who they're dealing with, association with people that ideologically align with them.
Militant
and
groups.
Anybody who doesn't ideologically align with them gets what do you call them? They get alienated. It's an echo chamber? Yeah, it's an echo chamber.
That's what revolution militant groups do.
Massive
they
echo chamber.
People, they hate
and so, like, how does that happen with, like, the video game industry?
They attack them.
There's obviously, like, it's not like this happened naturally, because if it happened naturally, you'd probably see a spread that's similar to what the general population is.
Yeah, no. They are blacklisted.
Why is that? It's common sense.
Rather than focusing on making something great. Eastern developers don't have that problem. There's another huge advantage that these Chinese studios have in particular, and it's access to one of the largest gaming markets on the planet, while Western studios don't. Many Western AAA games don't release in China due to strict censorship laws or a lack of appeal to Chinese audiences. That artificially handicaps Western studios, while Chinese studios have no problem releasing their games both domestically and internationally. Look at Black Myth Wukong. 75% of its sales came from China alone, yet it still pulled in millions of Western players. Now imagine what happens when a Chinese studio makes a game that's even better, with higher global appeal, and also at less than half of the development cost of a Western AAA game. That's where things get really dangerous for Western developers.
Yeah, and also this is only going to multiply with AI. A lot of studios are already using AI as technology to enhance their games now. And, like, obviously a very, very light form of it is frame gen, right? Like, this is effectively like...
I do understand where it can help the frames. That I do. That I'm okay with, where it can help GPU technology and frames and stuff like that, with the animation and stuff. That I don't have a problem with. It's where it takes over human jobs, human creativity, that humans are it takes over human intelligence and jobs and everything. That's where it's replacing that, where I see the evils of AI and stuff. That the other where they're helping, I don't.
Degree of AI. And so the fact is that this is going to become more and more common. So as you have a regressive culture in America that is against AI, that hates AI, and they don't want to use AI, they're going to protest AI. And then
damn tune right I am, Ozzy.
Let's say, or Japan or Korea, or anywhere else
I'm a
really,
hateful, vindictive
that's using
person.
AI, and they're out. And if AI is better and it's producing
And I'm
higher
proud to be an
quality
American
results
where I'm free
at
to
a
do
higher
that,
ratio,
Ozzy.
in the
Okay?
free market, that product will win.
It's
And it
America.
will kill the product that does not take advantage of it.
And I'm joking
That's all
about
there is to it.
Get some of that thing.
It doesn't matter what you can have whatever moral opinion you want on this.
You damn
at the end
tootin'
of the
right.
day,
Yes.
the biggest clothing manufacturers that are like Nike, Adidas, all of these places, as far as I know, their shoes aren't here being made in America. Okay?
I love AI. They have no mind.
And these are massive companies. You want to compete against that? You want to hire people in America and pay them the same wages? Go ahead. Have fun.
Developers aren't just a threat because they're making games that players want. They're a threat because they're only going to get better at it. They're going to get more experience. They're going to get more funding. They're going to learn from their mistakes. They're going to make games faster, and they're going to make them cheaper. Western studios can barely keep up as is, and they're already at a financial disadvantage. The fact that Eastern studios can produce high-quality games at a fraction of the cost and twice as fast is likely going to create an entire industry shakeup. If a Western studio needs $300 million in 6 years to make a game, but an Eastern studio can do it for $50 million and in half the time, who do you think is going to win in the long run?
Well, who would you want to
China.
invest in? Like, this is another component, right? Is like you have people that are investing in these companies. Like, if you're a company, you know, and you're an individual even, right? Like, who do you want to invest in? You're going to want to invest in China. Goodbye Western video games. Yeah, they're basically, they are killing themselves.
Adios.
And they are. Like, it's undeniable that this is happening.
And
a lot of them will act like they're victims in this, and in some cases they are victims in this, but it doesn't change the reality of what's happening. This is what's going to happen, and they're going to be out of a job, and they're not going to be able to get a job back.
I want a CEO.
You may see this as spelling doom for the industry as we know it. I see it as a rebirth and potentially the start of something greater. Bigger Western studios will be forced to do better, to be better. They'll have to be smarter with their spending, focus on the right things, and going back to paying attention to the audience and meeting the needs that aren't met. Sure, some studios are going to get caught in the undertow, but many studios are going to restructure and reprioritize, and with the rise of some of these Eastern studios, it's going to come new perspectives on how to make games, how to create new genres, and how to create customer satisfaction. You know, one of the things I brought up in my review...
I think that's very true, is that you will have Western studios that are able to adapt, but some of them that have been too infected with like these kinds of people will refuse to adapt, and they will end up destroying their entire studio.
How do you not see this game as diversity? Only idiots that have an IQ below a house plant. I don't know how they can breathe with that such low an IQ. How are you able to live with such a low IQ? How?
And, you know, that's all there is to it. That's just what's going to happen. Western will just buy Eastern studios. You can't do that in a lot of cases, right? I mean, like, in some cases that's true. In some cases it's not. Western studios don't have the same efficiency as China. They can't compete. It's not just that. I think that another...
Well, I mean, look what happened. PlayStation out. We've taken over PlayStation, a lot of Western. It's been more Westernized. That's the problem. That shouldn't have ever happened. Japan should be Japan. PlayStation should be Japanese because they wouldn't have a lot of the BS in those games if it was more Japanese-led. So I could see a problem with some stupid American twats going in there, messing around, and they're trying to. There are people, DEI groups trying to go to Japan and change it as well. You know, I've seen this, so it's like...
As I said before, like with AI, I think that AI is going to be that next multiplier effect that's going to create a rift in between Western and Eastern game development, and I would say American and non-American game development, again. Like, it's going to...
Well, this is why Trump created the AI, stupid-ass AI thing. It's because he wants us to be number one in it. China is a big threat with AI. God, I hate it. But anyways... I see recently, but he should ever use Stargate. He had no right to use Stargate.
create a rift because of the cultural ramifications that AI has here. And I think that the cultural ramifications moderate free speech inside of America. I don't know. It depends. It beats it. And that's it. That's the bottom line. And that's what matters. Would you advocate for banning games that moderate free speech inside of America? I don't know. It depends. Yeah, why are we talking about competition between game devs? People are going to buy games regardless? No, that's not true.
That doesn't have anything to do with the games. That doesn't have anything to do with the games, you idiot. I'm talking about the stupid idiot in chat. It's like, we're there to play a game. If the game is good, I mean, that's what they're doing. You know, we could talk about freedom of stuff other off the game. I mean, if you don't like it, then don't buy the game, is what I say. But it's like, people, we have stupid dumbass Republicans and Democrats. They're trying to censor us. Where's this bullshit coming from? You know, they censor it, so, I mean, China has their censorship, so do these stupid politicians here, and people in America. Trying to censor us what we cannot say or do with our own bodies. Stop being a hypocrite. We got a shitty government over here, too.
People only have a select amount. We live in an attention economy. People will only buy a certain amount of video games a year, and they will only have a certain amount of money a year to buy video games.
I mean, we got our own country that's spying more on us than Russia and China combined. Doing surveillance. Terrible shit. Illegal activities. We got criminals running our government. So before you go after China, you better damn well look at our piece of shit government the way it is.
So if certain games are a higher value and people feel like they are better games, those games will be prioritized. Of course. Wasn't Palworld made with AI too? No, they were completely unfounded lies.
Yeah.
Black Myth Wukong was how appreciative I was of being able to learn more about China.
I think there's been enough done on this. I think there has. It's been 2 hours that I've been on this thing. Just about. I can't justify that. Let me see here.
Ubisoft needs a win. 2024 was not a good year for them financially. It was
if you look at their chart, the red line is going down.
That the many of their less than popular design practices, when all those chickens finally came home to roost, it was the year that everyone finally decided to collectively turn on the
you just look at this
That's
game.
The character right there was damn sons of bitches, dude. They uglied her. She doesn't even look like that. She's a lot more beautiful. The characters that I create and stuff like that are beautiful. Unless I want to make them ugly. That's different. But
it was the
Look
year.
at this. What year did this come out? It might surprise you, but this actually came out in 2010.
That everyone finally decided to collectively turn on the company, and honestly, justifiably so.
Oh wait, it was
Fans
6
have been
months ago.
complaining about the state of Ubisoft's formula for years.
Will you continue down that river?
for whoever watches this, please leave a like, leave a comment. I do this live so people can comment, but I have seen YouTube take away views, and we don't have a great relationship. So, but otherwise, why are you watching? If you don't, there is a reason to.
Or choose another path.
But for whatever reason, we're now at the point where those complaints have finally manifested into mainstream disinterest. Ubisoft games just aren't selling like they used to, which is a big problem for an outfit as big as Ubisoft is. They need to sell big numbers to keep.
I'm probably gonna buy Ubisoft.
Ubisoft ain't Ubisoft. Ubisoft is Ubi crap. That's Ubisoft, Ubi crap. What about these people, where Ubisoft has taking off games, and they made people pay for it again. This is where piracy comes in. Of course, if you paid for it, you own it. So it's not piracy. There's so much crap. Ubisoft, EA, all these other, Activision, Blizzard, Biofail, Broadsword, Broadfail, from EA, when they treated subscribers and members and everything, put out trashy games and treat your people like shit. It's like
Soft. I've been saving up $3, and so probably by next year I'll be able to afford it.
International chain of developers working at max capacity,
Rich,
and those sales did not happen in 2024. It's one financial disappointment after another. Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, Skull and Bones, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, Star Wars Outlaws, they all underperformed according to Ubisoft. And it's not necessarily those are bad games. The Avatar game, surprisingly good. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown as well. I mean, it was kind of unfair to expect what they expected there, but it's a great game. The less said about Skull and Bones and Star Wars Outlaws, the better right now.
These are the bad ones, because the other two games were like much smaller in scope and they cost less money. So it's like Prince of Persia probably cost less than, I'd say, $20-30 million to make, realistically, given the scope of it. So that doesn't really matter a whole lot. But whenever you put $100 million into something and you lose on that, that matters a lot more. Avatar was amazing. I would only want to play Avatar if I could play as the humans and just go shoot all of the Avatar people. I want to be the bad.
You're such an asshole. God. Oh, God. Oh, evil.
The situation has been so bad. They're actually considering a buyout or selling the entire studio to whoever
they did, and this is the only time in the last year that
so
their stuff went
up. Holy shit.
Holy shit. To pay. A recent deal with Tencent fell through because the founders...
Oh my God, hold on. I need to get a drink real quick. Hold on. Besides water.
wanted to keep control of the company. And
smart, bro. Tencent, I'm telling you guys, like, these guys over in China, they know what they're doing.
They do.
They say, why would I? So you want us to buy your ship and not change the captain? But the captain's the one who keeps tipping the ship over. Why does this happen?
When you're owned by somebody, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So honestly, yeah, you can say there were some big problems with some of the games. You exclude Skull and Bones, and all the games I mentioned are decent games. You exclude Star Wars Outlaws, and, well, they're actually very good games. Some of the best the studio's put out in years. They're finally starting to evolve their formula.
The problem doesn't matter because this game was massively overpriced. So it's like you can win, like taking a game to market, you have like multiple factors, right? It's like timing, the game quality, the price of the game, the distribution of the game. All of these things matter. And the fact is that this game was sold at such a high price range with early access that it alienated a large audience of people that I think if for $20 or $30 could have truly appreciated it as a faithful recreation
wait,
of...
I didn't get to... Let's see. The thing with Assassin's Creed Shadows is that it's racist. This person has a bit of Asian, a little bit of Asian, and everything. Is that you put a black guy as the face of the Japanese people. Can you imagine me going up Black Panther or Black Hero or going to Africa and one of their gods and putting a white face, an Asian face, or Latino face on an African, on a black person as a hero? There'd be a lynch mob after me. They'd be after my hide. And the thing is that Osmond and his other idiot streamers, I'm not calling him an idiot, but other idiot streamers, right? They don't even see that as racist as it is, because that's what these stupid, idiots at Ubisoft did. It's racism. They didn't want a real Japanese samurai. All the history on Yasuke is faked. From this other video and other stuff that I've seen, there's only 3 pages of history on Yasuke. I would love to hear about the real Yasuke. Instead, some stupid white guy, some piece of shit white guy, he says, it's like, I don't want to do story on the Japanese samurai. Fuck that. I want to do a black guy doing it. And it's like, that's fine. You could do that. But don't have him represent the Japanese people or Asian people. That is racist. That is. Sarah Champloo, they've had some anime based on Yasuke. That's fine. You know why that's fine? Because they didn't try and have him say that, he was, make up fictitious stuff and say, he was a real samurai. It's a lot different. They had Yasuke as a Ronin. Independent. And Yasuke was not even a samurai. I don't like how I sound where people are, going to try and have me say this is bad or anything like that. It's like, no, it's the other way around. If they put a white face on a black guy, if they put a Latino face on a black guy, black hero, if they put, an Asian face on a black hero, there's going to be hell to pay. They're going to burn you alive. But you can't have a Japanese play, as the face of the samurai. They want a black guy to do it. There's something very racist about it too. They do have Asians, and I know that. I'm very aware that they have as a side pupil. His apprentice or whatever, sidekick. She's Japanese, yeah, I get that. But there's no reason why you cannot have a Japanese man as the face of a samurai. It's totally racist to me. And a lot of other people see that too. I got likes on that interview. I have hundreds of people on that video, so I know I'm right. You have to call racism out when it is. You have to call out wrong when there's wrongdoing. You have to call it out. Because then you're enabling racism. And Asian people have gotten a lot of racism from the other colors, from other people. And shit has to stop. You have to call it out. I don't care what Osmond says. I don't care what these other streamers, these stupid white streamers. I'm not attacking white people, I'm not. I'm multi-ethnic and stuff. I'm mostly white, okay? I have German, I have British, I have a lot of European, I have tribal and stuff. But I mean, this comes out of stupid DEI groups that need to be burned to the ground. These groups need to be burned to the ground, just out there, because they're part of the problem. I have black characters in my stories, strong black characters, but I don't have them misrepresenting. I don't have those faces of another nation or another character. I have strong black characters in my stories, as operatives, as spies, stuff like that. Like I said, there's a right way and a wrong way to have diversity and stuff. And with Assassin's Creed Shadows, for some of us, it's racist. They know it. They know what they did is wrong. He wasn't even a samurai. All this history was faked and everything.
Never
Good
played
game.
it. I
It's
watched
just
Shroud
really
play it,
long.
that's it.
It's really bloated, and it's ultimately pretty formulaic. It wears out its welcome, I guess is the way to put it. To really enjoy Valhalla, you have to play it until you're sick of it, and then put it down for like a week.
What I'm saying is, if you have a black character and everything, like I do, have them have their own voice, not be the face of some other part of history, some other land like Asia or something. And I say, if you have a black character, you want to have facts. Make it an African character, or have it a Haitian hero, a hero of the people. Make it a hero. You ain't gonna put a white. God, there'd be a lynch mob. There'd be a lynching if they put a white guy, as a black hero. If they put a white face, if they white face that, or stuff like that. That's just bloody crazy. But they felt like they could do it here. I'm gonna, attack them for that. And call them out. Because that's what it is.
And then play it until you're sick of it, and then put it down.
Why did they? Why did they? They don't have all these, heroes of Africa. They could make one. They could make a black hero. In Assassin's Creed, they could. You have the indigenous people of Australia. Why? Why didn't you do that? This would have happened. They could have done that. You do have different tribes in Africa that they hold some warriors in high esteem. They could make a story. They could do that. Why? Because they're too dumb and stupid? Yes, they are. They're idiots. They couldn't do that. There's so many ways you could make a real black hero and stuff like that, instead of having it in the face of Japanese people. Japanese people are not black. They're not. They're Asian.
Down for like a week.
Jesus.
And you're going to do that at least twice.
The fuck?
You're going to put it down for a week at least twice while playing it to really enjoy the game.
Damn.
Which it's not good.
That's weird.
The game was an endurance test. It did not do enough to advance Assassin's Creed as a series. Shadows, Assassin's Creed Shadows, the new one, is supposed to be that evolution. The game where Ubisoft finally innovates their stale gameplay systems and updates all the tired cliches. I don't know if it's actually going to or not, but from all the previews going around...
Well, I mean, this is Assassin's Creed, and part of the Assassin's Creed game is a house building simulator where you can pick the color of dog that you want in your house.
I don't care anything about it.
This is very problematic. Huh?
No, it's not.
Huh? Huh?
No, it's not.
and all the pre-release information, it does seem like Ubisoft really wants us to think of this game as a new beginning for the series. It's not just that Assassin's Creed Shadows desperately wants it.
Listen, I'd be for, I mean, Nobunaga and all this other stuff, man. Listen, man. If it was an offshoot game, if they were trying to pass it as real history and everything, and wasn't trying to have him as the face of the samurai, when was he a samurai? I wouldn't have it. If this was an offshoot, different type of game, and they didn't lie about that. If you use samurai, have a Japanese person do it. If you have a black hero, have a black hero from their land, or America that's a black hero. There are lots of black heroes you can use without saying that they're samurai. There's a right way, wrong way to do everything. I mean, look at the Japanese anime, anime that they made of this guy. That was cool. I thought that stuff was cool. This, they went over a line, with me at least, and a lot of other Asians and Japanese people,
It's back either. It needs us back. The future.
And the thing is, I don't like being hateful against this guy. I like to know about this guy, but not when they're trying to misrepresent this guy and have it on faked history. Honestly, that's what should have happened. But how they did this is it's unforgivable. And how you shit on the Japanese people is unforgivable. How you try and pass it off as we didn't try to do that. Yes, it is, because in the Japanese release, you don't have him as samurai. In the American release, you do.
Sure, the entire company is
you need to have a cool main character. And Yusuke, there's no real personality behind the character that's... Like, if you look at Ezio, like the old Assassin's Creed character, if you ask every 15-year-old guy, does this dude look cool? Everybody's going to be like, yeah, he's so cool, right?
Yeah, he does.
But, and it's like, awesome. There's a degree of kind of, what's the word for it? Like, there's gravitas to it. And just like his expression on his face, the way he's dressed, everything about it,
he's kick-ass.
Indicates a certain type of personality.
He's taller. He's a giant. He's a fucking giant. He looks like a fucking tank that would mow everybody, which he does. But it's not that. It's about, the lies and everything else that, it's all the other stuff that they do.
And a vibe to it, right? And with Yusuke, I feel like they haven't really done that hardly at all. And I think the reason why is that I think if they give the character too much of a personality, it could seem like it's antithetical to him being a Japanese person. And if they don't give him enough, then it's like a boring character. So they're in like this really weird spot. Yusuke no aura. Yeah, he just doesn't have aura. Exactly. Like there are characters like, Senator Armstrong, fucking like Heisme and Metaphor, like Luis in Metaphor, right? Like that's aura. Like this is an aura. This is like whatever the opposite of aura is. Yoshimitsu, yeah. Yeah, Henry, and fucking...
the thing is that, there's be some stupidness that'll say, that I'm racist or whatever. I'm not. I love all people. I love black people. I've had black girlfriends, okay? I have plenty of black girlfriends, man. But this is about misrepresentation and lies and everything. And I make strong black people in my stories as well. So it's about what they did, lying and everything else. And why aren't Japanese good enough to be, the samurai? What's wrong with using a Japanese man? Just like, why couldn't guys make an African hero? a black African hero. Is it not good enough? I think it's an offense. I think it's offensive that they couldn't do that. That's me. Represent. That's all it's really about. It's represent what you're doing. They didn't do that. They lied and concocted and made up a whole false history and everything with Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's my problem. Listen, I'd play this guy if it wasn't based on misrepresentation. I'd play a game like this, to be honest. But, I mean, were they trying to say that he's the figurehead, he's the representation of a samurai? He's the representation of Japanese. That's where it crossed the line. You know? False history and all that. You know? I mean...
what's his name? The guy with him. Hans. Yeah, Clive has aura. Duke Nukem has aura. Yeah.
On this game, it has to make a splash or else. And there's a certain desperation around the release of this game that you usually do not see from Ubisoft. They pushed it back to March 20th in order to release the game with no competition. They're offering DLC with pre-orders. They're finally releasing day one on Steam again. That's
a roach play. They're roaching. You can tell right there. The fact that they have their own system and they're still going back to Steam. Yep.
Ubisoft would never do. They knew they had your money where they were 100% confident in their success, so they released it.
Ubisoft is not the same country. It's not the same company that it used to. You know, with these, you know, great games. None of the video game companies are what they used to. They only have the name. You know. And they have these corporate suits running these companies, putting out an agenda, and they don't care if they put out a good game or not anymore. They don't. They just want to get how much they can get out of us without putting out a good game either. So
their games whenever they wanted, wherever they wanted. Expensive DLC passes be damned. In this new punished Ubisoft era, they're actually doing things people like. And while it's clearly all from a place of desperation, I mean, it's nice to see somebody learning the lesson. There's 100 different things I could point to right now of people who just refuse to learn the lesson. Just do what people want you to do, and it'll work.
Just do the thing and make the game good.
To be dicked.
That's the crazy thing with Marvel Rivals. They just did the thing and they made the game good. Stop putting things... Like, I think that also, like, a lot of players are becoming fatigued with live service retention.
You're enabling an abuse. It's like being an abusive relationship. How I did, like with Star Wars The Old Republic and what they did to people. You're enabling the abuser to do whatever they want to you. They say, here, I'll just take it up the, you know what. I'll take it up the ass. Here, just keep doing it. I'm still going to buy it. You're enabling the abuser to keep doing what they're doing. It's like being in an abusive relationship. And I've been in abusive stuff. Lots of abusive relationships. I've been in a good amount of abusive relationships. There are people that abuse me all the time. So it's like when I come on here, I'm venting a lot of stuff, you know, what's happening with abuse. I'm calling it out. It's my job, it's abuse. I pointed out abuse in these videos. And when people pay for all this stuff and allow this abuse to happen, it's your fault. You're enabling it. Some people say me, so it's my fault with some stuff too, I guess. But
tension mechanisms, things like daily quests, things like login counters, stuff like that. I think that that's beginning to fatigue a lot of players. Marvel Rivals devs got fired. Yeah, but like, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I really feel bad for them, and I think that sucks on a personal level. But like, I don't give a fuck how they run
Bullshit.
their company. That's not my problem. I just play the game. Like, I
That's
mean,
fucked
Samsung
up.
wants to
Really
use
fucked
child
up.
laborers to make a new fucking phone. That sounds great. How much?
The thing is, they're making all this money. I mean, I don't buy any of the skins. I might down the road next month maybe buy a few skins, but I mean, Marvel Rivals doesn't have much. You're playing the same recycled stuff over and over again, the same maps. And the thing is, they need to innovate. I think they know it's not going to last. Only hardcore people are going to keep playing it. There's a lot of people playing it, but they're adding characters. And I want to try them out too. That Fire Torch, I want to try that out. That guy Torch, is that? Or is it Fire? I forgot. But they're going to have to do something else in that game besides just play the same old maps. Nobody wants to do that. You know? And that's where there's the hardcore that's just going to keep on playing it forever versus people like me that'll just play it sometimes. Also, if people laugh at me, so they can laugh at me when I lose for entertainment purposes, versus people that just go on to other games and do other things. It's really fucked up because.
How much is it? Oh, it's only $1,000? Great, wow. Thank God for cobalt miners. I mean, that's not my problem.
Shut the fuck up. I know you care.
I mean, to some extent, we do have to look at this as an aberrant situation.
Nobody cares.
Desperation or no, I don't really care why. They're doing what we want them to do, at least. So let's at least hear them out.
At least you're honest. Yeah, I'm. Everybody feels the way that I do.
I
but
know
some people
you
like
do
to
care
pretend
a
that
bit.
they
You
don't
just
in
say
order
that.
to,
I know you do
make
care a
themselves
bit.
sound good. But I think that their actions are what matter, not words.
They're trying to do is show they're pretty serious about PC support. On top of just straight up releasing the game on Steam day one.
This is game development. This is something I know because I've worked on lots of betas for almost 30 years. Is that a lot of people, you know, we complain when there's all these buggy games was ported to PC. And you gotta keep in mind, there are thousands of different motherboard configurations, memory, sticks you have to configure these games for. CPUs, you have hundreds of CPUs, different variables, GPUs, CPUs, memory, and motherboards. Thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of variables. I'd say actually tens of millions. Yeah, tens of millions of variables. When you make these games, you port a PC. It's a lot easier to do it for PS5, PS4, you know, Xbox systems. It's a lot easier because they don't have all different configurations to worry about. PCs can be a nightmare. It is a nightmare for everybody, for developers, because this is the reason why you're supposed to have these betas. And they need to do more of them so that when they port out a product, a game, onto PC, these variables have already been tested. But, I mean, this is where gaming companies, you know, shoot themselves, you know, in the foot. It's because they don't do these betas. Or if they do, it's limited. For obvious reasons, they don't want all the secrets to be out there, but It's very hard work.
They recently put out a trailer specifically to show off all the
Uncapped
PC
frame
support
rate?
features, including the stuff you'd expect, like access to all the AI upscaling tools and ray tracing features. But they also mentioned stuff like built-in benchmarking tools and a wide
This
range
does
of
look
support
good,
for
by the
low
way.
and medium-end
It
systems.
does.
Game looks good.
Meaning
Gorgeous.
optimization,
Love it.
perhaps.
Whoa, I mean, does this really look that much different? I mean, I guess a little bit.
No, just tiny.
I don't know. We'll see.
Like, am I crazy
most
for
people-
thinking that?
Most people will not know the difference. They won't know unless you see something like that. And they look pretty much the same to me. Good enough. Yeah, they're not going to hardly recognize it. Most people never recognize the difference.
Like, maybe this is going to be a really hot take, but I think this is the beginning of the exponential growth curve of graphic quality leveling off. I think we've
That's
hit the
where AI
80-20
comes
rule
in.
right here. Probably 90-10. They could make games that look like this for the next 10 years, and as long as they play well, people aren't going to complain.
Yeah,
Graphics
I don't
have
see
hit a
really
threshold
hardly
to where
anything,
they are
so it's
basically
just-
good enough.
yeah.
Perhaps.
size-
I don't
the
know. We'll
size
see.
and stuff,
But
yeah, I see
another
that.
highly requested feature
Fabric
that's finally
details,
in
bro?
shadows
Yeah,
is
nobody
an
cares.
immersive mode where you
Yeah.
can set it so that characters actually speak their native language.
奪われてもならぬ約束しろ
It's just an option. Default's still
She looks
English
way hotter
for,
in that
your
cinematic.
local languages, but it's a welcome feature. I'll probably play it in English, if I'm completely honest.
Sam,
At
look at he's
least
about
the
to
first
bow
time.
down.
Assuming there's a second time, I'll probably go through with immersive mode. But for AC fans, Shadows sounds on paper like the game we've all been waiting for. A game set in Japan with more complex stealth systems
Yeah,
and more
sure.
visceral combat. It promises an immersive open world with things like changing seasons.
I just can't think of a single action combat game that's come out in the last 2 years that's as bad as this. Like, basically every single action combat game that comes out is better than this. I mean, I would say that... I mean, maybe this is better a little bit than Veilguard.
Going to
Whoa.
focus on actual
Wow.
investigation, where you don't just find your target simply by following a series of linear quests, but actually searching the world
Yeah,
and
sure.
discovering things naturally.
But I think I've covered this enough. I mean, yeah, so it looks gorgeous, but yeah, there have been players that said, you know, that were good with the combat, and there are others that stream and said it's shitty, or I've seen it's shitty combat. I don't care, because I have no reason to ever buy it. I would never buy trash like that. Nothing against the real Yosuke. Nothing against the real Yosuke. Real Yosuke, I have respect for. What I don't have respect for is Ubisoft and the bullshit that they try to pull on the Japanese people and Asians. It's a lot different. I respect the real Yosuke. I tip my hat off. I count down and everything. I do. But not Ubisoft. Ubisoft, real shitty what they did. Let's see, there's this Bioware thing. Bioware dev humiliates himself.
If this is what I think it is, it's going to be really fucking funny.
So this super weird out of
Wow.
touch guy Mark Dara made a video complaining about gamers. Mark
Dara?
Dara, an
Oh my
ex-dev
God.
from Bioware.
Oh,
and what's
man.
even more hilarious is how he's getting all upset in the comments of that
He's
video.
so
which were-
mad.
Clean up your fucking face, dude. What the fuck? Why you must not really care about yourself or anything, or anybody thinks of you that. Oh my god, dude.
gamers. Mark Dara, an
oh,
ex-dev.
oh my god, look at that, man. Holy shite. Dude. What are you thinking? I mean, I do stupid stuff, dude. You know. I could stream in my underwear, whatever. But anyways,
from Bioware.
Oh,
and
man.
what's even more hilarious is how he's getting all upset in the comments of that
He's
video,
so
which
mad.
My God.
we're definitely going to be
Bro,
taking a look.
this guy is writing fucking manifestos in the comments, pissed off because I reacted to his video, and I disagreed with parts of his video. I didn't even disagree with the entirety of his video. I disagreed with part of it.
Yeah, he's like rage responding to people. It's great entertainment for us. First, a little more info on Mark Dara. So yeah, once again, this guy is an ex-dev for Bioware, although apparently he was brought back to do some consulting on Veilguard. That's what some people are saying. If that's true, that's hilarious. What we do know, however, is that he was at the very least attempting to prop up and defend Veilguard, for example, rock, paper.
If he had any consultation with that, then that's bad on him. This could make him look bad, but anyways.
What I see in Veilguard is a game that finally bridges the gap. It bridges the gap between the employees and the unemployment line.
Holy
For
shit.
Shotgun here as a headline.
Damn,
Mark Dara,
that's
Veilguard's
fucking
the first
cold. That's just fucking cold, Ozzy. No, but look, some parts of Veilguard I thought looked pretty cool with that, but it's their the DEI stuff I didn't like. And me, I have diversity in the work that I do. I have a lot of diversity and everything else. I have aliens, Star Wars characters, different colored people, all this type of stuff. So it's like I said, there's a right way of doing everything, and what they're doing here in the West is the wrong way of doing it.
Dragon Age, where
Really
the
sad.
combat's actually fun. What I see in Veilguard is a game that finally bridges the gap. Oh, and you know what? Here's some more information on the whole Veilguard consulting thing. Games Radar had wrote, former Dragon Age boss now consulting on the Veilguard.
Of course you're getting mad and you're trying to defend this. So I forgot all about this. I didn't even know this. Maybe I knew it. I didn't really take it seriously or didn't pay attention to it.
Year.
So this guy basically was telling them that this was a good idea, and now that it's a bad idea, now he's trying to guilt trip his audience into thinking that it's good, that they released the game and it's bad, that people are happy that the studio failed.
That's EA. That's EA. By the way, that's what Bioware, Biofill, and Broadsword is. Star Wars: The Old Republic and everything. They put out stuff and it comes out trash. Oh my God! These gaming companies here. This is why they're losing, because they just don't care about putting out a good game.
Oh God!
No way. Says the RPG really is the best Dragon Age game that I've ever played. Yeah, so that's the sort of dude
For
we're
sure,
talking
guys.
about. Subtext reading.
For sure.
Mark Dara has high praise for BioWare's latest. And apparently this dude is a BioWare veteran. How can this dude just tarnish BioWare's legacy like this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the best Dragon Age game ever. It's so great. To BioWare's credit, they did used to make good games. The frick is this guy doing?
It was a long time ago.
Older shit before EA slaughtered it. It took over. As soon as the doctors that created BioWare, they have no right to be using that name BioWare anymore. Stop BioWare. None of these gaming companies are the same company that they used to be. None of them are.
Veilguard's the best EA game. BioWare's better than ever. Dudes like this are just complete sellouts. Trying to sell out to the modern...
I feel like he was a consultant and he's just saying the things so it makes him look good. That's really the reason why.
It's corpos out there and all that. Yeah, it's pathetic. So that takes us to the current news with this guy.
Doesn't he look like Jake Paul in 20 years?
He
PC
does!
A tweet that says,
That's
BioWare
Jake
veterans
Paul!
about the cruelty of
Oh my
celebrating
God!
playoffs.
That's fucking
You
Jake
are
Paul!
fine. And you're probably
Holy
talking to the wrong
shit!
person
50
anyway.
years.
The source for this quote is, as mentioned, a video he made
It
with
does.
his channel, and
What
we're
the
gonna look at
hell?
a portion of that video.
What the-
I've already watched the.
Look at that. Cut that stuff off. Shape it up a bit. I mean, when my beard and everything got wiry like that, or something I I want people to call me out. But it's like wires that you need to cut off. I just want to shave that and cut it. I want to actually just... And his hair, he just put it back. He needs to shape his hair.
The full thing twice myself, and I'm just going to summarize the great majority of the video, which is simply that the middle part of the video, he's essentially just making excuses for bad game devs. And the latter part of the video, he's essentially trying to dictate who gamers are.
I love how, like, this is like what I think is so fucking annoying, is that these people, they create these, they create this apparatus where nothing they do can ever be wrong, because there's so many people that are responsible for each individual thing that accountability is displaced between so many sources that there can never be any fault by anybody. It's so exhausting.
They don't want to take
they're muddying the waters. Exactly, bro. Like, they're roaches.
Or EA, how, they made fun of Battlefield 2042 when it first came out. And they had signs saying, yes, we suck. Yay, we suck. Yay, we made terrible. Yes, yay, people hate us. They had posters. I don't know if people can still find them on the internet. But yeah, they had all the stuff. They're mocking and making fun of their own company. It's like, what idiots. What trashy people would love to put out a trashy game and then make fun of themselves like it's a parody. It's like, you gotta be kidding. I mean, they've done a lot of changes 2042, fixed a lot of stuff, but, it was pretty much too late.
Allowed to criticize and who they're not allowed to criticize. There's also a prevalent recurring theme in his video, which is he doesn't actually use the word criticize. He doesn't want to admit that gamers have fair critiques for these corporations and these devs. No, instead he phrases it specifically as gamers
make these games. Gamers are what makes these games great. Gamers makes the game successful. Gamers sell the game. They also sell it as well to others by buying this game and telling your friends. It's free ad revenue, what gamers give. So when you attack and trash gamers, it really shows what a trashy a piece of shit person you are, can be, or whatever, when you do that. I mean, you do that and attack them, it shows what a terrible person you are. That you can't take criticism, that is narcissistic. That is narcissism.
Attacking and complaining. And I don't think that's...
It's also like, I mean, everybody agrees. Like, let's just get this out of the way. Everybody agrees that if you don't like a voice actor for a certain game or whatever, if you're making personal attacks to them and you're making personal threats, like, everybody agrees this is bad.
Yes.
No, but there's no like hidden agenda here of people that think this is a good thing. It's not real. This you're fighting. You're jousting with windmills here. You're fighting ghosts.
Right.
Like, there's like 5 people on Twitter that
don't
think
buy
this,
it.
but it's not the majority of people. 99% of people don't think this.
Coincidence. I think there's like one of two things going on here. Either he's intentionally phrasing it that way, or he's subconsciously phrasing it that way. Either thing leading to the conclusion that he clearly doesn't think gamers are really valid to criticize these corpos, and he's just trying to play cover for them. But yeah, that's not going well because gamers are seeing right through his nonsense and calling him out, which, as mentioned, he's getting upset about in his own comment section. Yeah. All that said, now I'm going to play a portion of his video.
So the reason why he's getting defensive in his comment section is because I reacted to his video and I watched it. That's the reason why he's getting defensive.
It's not just you. It's because he knows he's wrong. That what he did is just attacking gamers like that. When people have credible reasons to go after Dara on his BS and everything, defending EA, Bioware, and stuff like that, from Veil Guard or stuff like that, and they have good reasons, valid reasons, to call him out and go after him, including these companies, then yeah, I mean, you know, he instead of saying, yeah, I own up to it, I was wrong, instead of saying, yeah, you're right about this, but hey, we go through a lot of shit too, instead of going that route, he instead attacks gamers. That's not how you do things. You're just digging your own hole at that point.
Because he wasn't doing that previously. He was only doing that because once I watched it and everything like that, I said, Grandmaster in this game? Congrats, dude. Holy fuck. Nice.
I don't think so, but
yeah, that's what I think. He's salty? Yeah, 100%.
He is salty.
Because while
that's
I could
what's going
summarize
on.
this
I don't
part
think
too,
it's just you.
especially
He's
amusing when he
balding.
says here.
Let me tell you, Star Wars Galaxies, which I played, we were pissed about NG, how that ruined the game. And a lot of people know they banned some of us. They had, in game, we had protests attacking the developers about a shit job that they did, how to destroy the game. They took and they'd kill our characters in the game. Or they'd put us out in the void. They put them, not me. I wasn't playing all during some of those times. Other times I was. And these super battle droids against us protesters, and they'd kill us for protesting. In the game, they'd kill us. True. People should look some of that stuff up on the internet. And we had good reasons for protesting and attacking them for what they did to the game. And so, I mean, that's an example. This is 25 years ago, something like that, 20 plus something years ago. It came out in 2003. There's beta testing we did 2001. This stuff happened in 2005 NGE, and how abuse of the devs of Smelly Smedley with Star Wars Galaxies and everything, what I call them, and everything else. This is about abuse. Us calling it out abuse and neglect, and how game studios abuse gamers. That we should stand for it. We should, go after them and tell them what they did wrong. If they can't handle it, get the F out. You get what's coming to you. Karma and everything else.
So, enjoy.
Did you read the title? Did it say something like your $70 doesn't buy you cruelty?
Oh.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. The fact that you bought a game that you didn't like doesn't give you the right to be cruel or unkind to the people that developed that game.
Yes, it
now,
does.
I'm going to be clear about something.
That's $70 fucking bucks or $100. Yes, it does give you a right to be pissed off. How far you take it is different. You don't do death threats and other stuff, and everything like that. But yes, you have a right to be pissed off. If you abuse gamers, if you use them, abuse them, make promises that aren't kept, you lie about the game, yes, we have a right to come after you, Dara. We do. We do. Stop being a little child and everything.
Well, the reason why it doesn't give you the right is because you already had it. Everybody has the right to say whatever the fuck they want. It's not against the law. You could have said that anyway.
I'm not saying that you have to like the thing you bought. I'm not saying even that you aren't allowed to complain about the thing you bought.
Yeah.
You can have whatever opinion that
you're right, not in Germany.
You feel
not in the UK. You can't have it.
Even if that opinion is stupid and
Australia,
wrong, you are entitled to that opinion, and to some degree, you're entitled to express.
They'll put you in jail for that. I should know. They'll put you in jail in the UK for up to 7 to 10 years for complaining and stuff like that.
That opinion to the corporation, to the video game studio that created this game that you bought. You paid 70 of your own dollars for this game, and it disappointed you.
Yes,
and you're angry about that. That is fine. You are entitled to be angry.
But you just said we
and you're
can't.
entitled to express that anger in certain channels.
You just
If
said
you
we
are
can't,
mad at that Ubisoft game, be mad at Ubisoft. Express your anger to Ubisoft or to the studio that made the game. But you cross a line when you start being cruel about it. So
what's your version? Your version of being cruel is calling you guys out on your abuse to us, the gamers. You expect us not to be pissed off and go after you? Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do, the consumer. We're paying for it, not you. You guys are getting these copies for free, pretty much. You guys do this stuff, and play it for free. Okay? I should know. Sometimes you do pay for it, but you can get it for free. I know because I've done beta tests. I've worked with different companies and stuff like that. So I know how it goes. And when you guys become rats, and I know I've done so many beta tests where it's like, devs will shut people down for going after others, wanting the game to be better and stuff like that. They'll shut them down, kick them out, betas, stuff like that, blacklist them or whatever. There's a lot of buildup to this explosion that happens that you guys cause. It's cause and effect that you guys create with this. It's like a ticking time bomb. And you guys create this ticking time bomb with all the stuff that you guys do. And everything. Broken promises, broken games, DLCs not coming out, or adding fees, or pushing back DLCs, stuff like that. Just making terrible games. It's a ticking time bomb that goes off. Stop being a stupid little child, a crybaby. You're a crybaby, Dara. You're a crybaby. Stop being a little child. Grow up. I've been attacked, called lots of different things in my life. I'm called retard through my whole life and everything. So.
By saying you don't get to be cruel because you...
Why are you not defining what that word means?
Yeah.
You're not defining the word.
What are you saying?
The problem is, you're using an emotionally charged word without creating a distinction, because there's a lot of people that view constructive criticism, and cruelty that are all on the spectrum. So
yeah, what he says is cruelty is just having a difference of opinion, calling these guys out on things, on making terrible product. That's our job. That's our right. When we pay money, we have a right to say something, whether you like it or not. But you're being cruel in a way to us. I could say you're being cruel to us by putting this on us, gaslighting. You're gaslighting. You're lying. You're the one, if it was being cruel. I could throw that back at you.
I think that you can easily see personal attacks, insults at a person's appearance, stuff like that. This is obviously all bad, right? But where does that...
Well, I had to call it out. I did. You should know better. I want somebody to call me out. Sometimes I've looked terrible on camera just to have somebody say something. I do that on purpose. I have. Nobody has. What's wrong with people?
Line get drawn. Well, you're not creating the line, and so how can anybody know what you mean?
They just did that on purpose like that.
Spent $70. Let's walk through it.
Mm-hmm.
One,
he's creating rhetoric.
You shouldn't be cruel at all. What are you doing? It's a video game. You don't need to go out of your way to cause harm to other people because of a video game that you don't.
Your definition of causing harm is opinion. Is people talking, or trashing the game because you guys did a terrible job. That's not cruel. That's being objective. That's calling out a different bugs, terrible combat, dialogue, terrible choices, terrible character work and artwork, terrible character creation, and how character works or combat or whatever. That's just you acting like a child. There are people that go too far, definitely. There always are. But you're acting like a child. We pay for a product. We have every right to say what we want. We're all not going to like what a person says. It happens all the time. There's always stuff people say that I don't like or other people don't like. That's just the way life is. Grow up. But I don't
like.
Okay, so yeah,
Here we go.
Cruel. He goes off about being cruel and never really defines what he means by.
So does he think that like if so somebody makes a video game that's not fun, and then a player beats up the developer in real life, how many people do you think really support that? Basically, fucking nobody. Nobody supports. Like, this is not real. Like, it's total fucking bullshit.
At least one. At least
chances
one.
are that's something he would use to fit his own meaning whenever it's convenient for him to defend corpos. And okay, here's a question, bruh. Why do these giant corporations get to be cruel to gamers? Trying to take our money, charge us $70 for their AAA slop.
Yeah, I would say that's a good argument. Yeah, I think it's a little bit cruel when you make a video game and you charge $70 for it and it's bad.
Yeah, it is cool.
Sometimes promising features that are not even there, and releasing games that are far too buggy than they should be at release. Sometimes essentially using players as their own beta testers without properly disclosing that that's even what they're doing. It's an extremely shady and corrupt industry. You don't see this guy advocating for gamers to get refunds on these slop games.
No,
instead he's just trying to dictate how gamers are allowed to respond. When these
you're being cruel. How dare you? Can't be like that. It's like, yeah. My wallet says so. My bleeding wallet says so. My bleeding wallet. A lot of us can't afford to make a gamble. Everything costs so much. Food costs so much. Rent costs more. Taxes are going up. Taxes just went up. Here in LA County, they went up. The bastards, the criminals that run the place here, they upped our taxes. So, yeah, we're going to be very pissed if we get a shitty product. I'm not saying that all of yours is. I knew I probably wouldn't want to play it, so I didn't bother. But everybody has a right to when they felt wronged. You know? We all do.
These corporations try and swindle people out of their money. And of course I understand that they're not literally forcing someone to buy their game. They don't threaten them to buy the game or else. But as mentioned, a lot of the time these corporations are very dishonest in how they're presenting their game as if it's a complete product, when a lot of the time these AAA games really aren't.
If you feel like you need to focus it down onto an actual human being, I mean, that's really sad. I'm sorry. That's very sad. And hopefully you can grow beyond that. But I will give you...
I gotta say it. Clean your ass up. Clean your ass up, man. You can come after me. You can come after me. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, back in my day, you'd get fired for looking like that. In my day, you'd get fired for looking like that. The boss would take you in and say, you better go home at their jobs. You don't go in looking like that. You don't. I just say it. You know,
couple of outlets. If you,
I think that it makes sense when you focus on a human being whenever a specific person is saying things that are problematic, like that avowed art director, for example. Like, that makes sense. Now, whenever you're looking at harassing a voice actor for some character because you don't like what the character's doing in the game, like, this is mental institution behavior, absolutely. But that's not the majority, and it's actually a small minority. It's, again, like, I mean, like, what are we doing here? Like, it's just, like, such a crazy thing to even say. This guy's an example of a concern troll? No, what he's doing is he's trying to... So he put his weight behind a game that was received very badly, and now he's trying to play defense for it because he was aligned with it, and it makes him look bad. That's what's really happening here. It's what.
Well, he's trying to say that we're the bad and evil people, and how these companies do it. That we're the problem. It's not us. It's them. And they're trying to mirror it back on us, throw it back at us. It's not us, it's them. That's the problem. And it's gaslighting too. It's the same thing. People need to see that movie, Gaslight, with Ingrid Bergman and was it Marie Chevalier? I don't think it wasn't Marie Chevalier. It's 1930s, but gaslight is where you take somebody's words, you twist them, and you make them out to be like they're the problem. You switch them, you turn their words, flip it back on 180. And he also drove Ingrid Bergman insane, because how he would gaslight her. People need to watch that movie, because you don't know exactly what gaslighting is until, I mean, thing is, the way they have the terminology for gaslighting now is pretty different than the movie in some ways, but it goes together. It goes together with how it is too. It's a crazy psychological movie. Very good.
That's what I think is happening here.
Need to complain at a human being. I'm going to say you don't get to go lower than the first person
that
in
would
the credits.
Be you and
yes,
your
the complaining
companies.
police over here. Oh, you don't get to
That'd
do this.
be
You can only do that. And an important thing to take note of is how he's not providing any examples. Like, what is he even specifically talking about here? I don't generally see gamers going after, like, specific people who worked on a game unless those people went out of their way to attack gamers first. For example,
Exactly. Yeah. Nobody's going into, like, finding random devs and doing that. And if they are, they're assholes and they're pieces of shit. Yeah, that's obviously wrong.
have seen devs at certain companies, certain devs, literally making inflammatory statements that target gamers with hostility, in which case, obviously, the gamers that see that may very well respond to it, and they're allowed to do that. Or in other circumstances, when we've seen devs, for example, some of the Veilguard devs, who very obviously put in, like, self-insert slop into the game, which we also directly see negatively impacted the game. Yeah, people are allowed to criticize those choices and the people who made them. Just because you're a game dev doesn't mean you're free from criticism. And you can't criticize.
Well, there's always this emotion.
Well, that's the thing. When you're a game developer, you attack people, and you make a shitty product, and along with the corporate suits that enable it, and the biggest part of destruction is the suits, the corporate suits at the top that caused this to happen with games. In the old days, like I said, they used to make great games. They're about making great games. Not today. They just want to take our money. That's it. They don't care if it's a shitty product or not. And so it's like a lot of devs have kind of said, well, we hate people, that like the lore when it comes to Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or Witcher, so many other products. And this, the Veilguard, you can say the same with that. They don't like that. They don't like being questioned, and they don't like people telling that they put out a terrible product. And so, when they attack us, we have every right to do the same thing back. They get personal with us, we're going to get personal with them. So I mean, it's like you're adding the fuel to the fire and everything. So
emotional manipulation, where it's like, and anybody who's like part of celebrity culture does this. Like content creators do this as well. It's like they always want you to feel sorry for them, or like, oh, this is so sad, it's happening to me, like I'm getting bullied, like people don't like me, etc. It's so exhausting to me. Like if you put out a stream, if you put out videos and people don't like the videos, that's what happens, right? That's life. If you go into the public space and then people say, we don't like what you're doing, then get the fuck out of the public space. That's the way the world works. So I don't understand how this is, it's happening. You can also pivot your content. Yeah, you could just make different content as well. And so you have this emotional manipulation that happens with streamers doing this, celebrities do this, and especially game devs do this, where they're trying to like paint themselves out as like victims, when the reality is that game development is just like a lot of other industries as well, where you have people that get fired regularly. Like this is what happens in tech as a macro thing in general. But we're supposed to feel uniquely, sorry for a game developer when something like this happens. Whereas if you make any product and the product doesn't sell, it doesn't make money, you're out of a job. That's the way the world works.
Well, I mean, the thing is, usually developers don't have a say. It seems like they have more of a say now. I mean, he's not. The baseline for developers just to help in the creation of the product. They don't have a say. Those are, the upper, oh God, I can't believe I forget the names. I'm ADD on this. Attention deficit. Just, it's where it's like I forget some, how it goes. I know how it works, because I've been around it and stuff and everything, but those are executive producers, the executives and everyone else that dictate that. The developers are just responsible for making the art, the mechanics of the combat systems, and then they have to get the okay from the higher ups, the executive parts. They're in charge of the team, the producers, and everybody else. And so those people are more responsible for making the trashy games and the corporate suits that has soup in their head of, making these bad products. So, the devs, they should always be attacked, except for when they attack other people. That's when they're open. That's when they're fair game. When they say, oh, we don't care about you. We don't care about the lore. You're open to attack. Because you have no business being in the creation of those projects and products if you don't care about the lore and the story of what these products and projects were based on. You have no business working there. You never did. Other games that doesn't have lore, that's a lot different, because there's no lore. You don't care about it. You're talking about first-person shooters, and that's a lot different.
I used to think Asmon had taste in games. Listen, guys, the Avowed thing, I get it. Hey. It is what it is. All right? It is what it is. Guys, I'm getting hate. Look at this. I'm being bullied. This isn't fair. Look at this. This is like I'm getting attacked in my own stream now. I can't even stream anymore without somebody trying to attack me and bully me and say I'm wrong. This isn't fair, guys. Can anybody donate to make me feel better?
You can only criticize the first credit.
Be a human being. have some empathy and stop
Why?
being cruel. Stop throwing a party because a bunch of people lost their jobs. Because you don't know the circumstances that resulted in the thing that you're mad at. People deserve some grace. People deserve some empathy from you. And if you can't provide that, then stay off the internet completely.
Yeah, the lack of self-awareness with this guy, man, is pretty astonishing.
It's insane.
Telling us to stay off the internet, that's what he should be doing, really.
Excuse you, crybaby. Oh my god. You're part of the problem when you say and do stuff like that. You leave yourself open to attack because you just attack her and say you're stupid, you're rubbish, you're trash. It's like saying that. It's just like saying that you have no business being on the internet. If you have something to contradict what we say or do, then get off the internet. It's like fuck you. It's like, are you kidding me? You shouldn't have been on the internet. You know why you shouldn't be on the internet making that video? Because then we wouldn't come after you. We wouldn't attack you. Or these other people made a terrible product if you would have stayed off the internet. But you did what you did, so here we are.
Like, he's just making terrible points and making himself look like a fool. And again, like I mentioned multiple times, it only gets worse in his own comment section. We're almost there, by the way.
Dude,
and there's two more points I'll bring up really quick. It shouldn't be surprising when people celebrate some of these companies going through layoffs after these companies have been very predatory towards gamers, and or they have people working at those companies that have made public statements showing hostility to gamers.
And also they make racist public statements and they don't get fired. That's the big difference, is that nobody would hold it against the company if the company did, like somebody said it and the company was like, oh yeah, we don't support that, we're going to get rid of this guy, right? But they don't.
Do support it. They do.
They defend it, and it's because they agree with it. That's the reason.
They do.
Literally, you can argue that with these companies going through layoffs, the industry is actually healing. The final point is that it comes off really hollow when he's pretending to care about people that get laid off. He's unwilling to criticize the devs who are factually bringing these studios down, which very well may result in a game underperforming and then everyone getting laid off. And I'm using everyone a bit facetiously here, but you know, a massive number of people. If he really didn't want layoffs to happen, then he shouldn't be upset when gamers find people responsible for dragging these games down and then criticizing the bad work that they do. That bad work can directly lead to the game underperforming and then, surprise, layoffs. But nah.
If something's bad, it's bad. Like, that's it. Like, this is the thing. This is one of the reasons why, I never really relied a lot on, like, parasocials. And, like, obviously every streamer has parasocials that watch, but I've tried to put a pretty big barrier between, like, me and a lot of my viewers. And what I mean by that is I try to avoid having any sort of, like, circumstance where, like, my viewers are... let me think of a good way to say this. Like, where, like, I want people to, like, really feel sorry for me, or I try to bridge the gap between, like, you guys watching for content and for entertainment into you watching in order to, like me or be like a real-life friend simulator. Because I feel like there's a lot of streams that do this as well. Yeah. And, like, this is why I have a lot of opinions about it, because I feel like there's a lot of parallels to this.
Well, I think even with adult performance, I know, and with me, I mean, there's to be stuff people are to hate about me. There's to be stuff that people like about me. That's the way it is. And with, you know, I like to use celebrities, but it's like, them that I know, there's to be stuff they don't like about them. And that's why they don't want to be your friend. They don't want to get to know you either. They don't want to know about your personal life. They don't want to know about mine too. That's too bad. They know it anyway. I give them videos and they watch. So they have to, whether they like it, especially when they subscribe to me, then they're going to get it whether they like it or not. And I do it so they can laugh at me too. So they can make fun of me. Because it is a rule. If I can't make them laugh and if they don't like comedy, I don't want to have anything to do with them. I don't. But anyways, that's a kind of different thing. But, you know, That's just what it,
this with like streaming and content creation. Whereas like from my perspective, I try to come on every day and be entertaining and not just be like, oh yeah, people like watching the stream because they like being around you. That's nice, right? And it's good to have that type of charisma. But
well, the thing is, with this is all entertainers I know, there's gonna be stuff that you don't like about them and stuff that you do like. They don't want you to know about stuff that you're not going to like about them. It's the same with him and other people. It's like, you know, there's the boundaries that we gotta have and everything like that. It's just like, I hope you enjoy the show. There's some stuff that you do not like about people's shows and everything, and about us personally and everything. And it's like, some sites, you're just there, they just want you to buy their stuff. Let's move on.
I try to go a step farther and actually be entertaining and make a conscious effort to engage people and have it not just be that surface level weird interaction.
Right.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to do a boyfriend, best friend, girlfriend experience.
Why not?
Type thing, right?
Why?
And
why?
Golden, yeah, exactly, right. You literally tweeted asking for donations. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Yeah. Instead, he is ardently defending these people for some reason. Anyways, let me know what you think about that stuff. Now, on to the comments. A top comment reads, "A simple bill of $70 gives me the right to critique a product." And Mark responds with this really weird comment that says, "Watch the video, dislike something, express that dislike to the studio, but why are you crawling into someone's personal social media feed? If you need a human, look at the first few names in the credits." We can then see a user questioning how Mark knows that person is even doing.
How do you even know that the first few names in the credits are the ones that are responsible either? In a lot of cases, the game director is even somebody who's beholden, like they're not at the top of the company either. Like there's probably 3 people that are above, or probably 2 people that are above them. There's the CEO, and then there's the board of directors, if it's a publicly traded company, that are really telling the CEO what to do. So that doesn't even make sense.
What he's accusing him of, to which someone else points out that...
The thing is, he's whining about people going into their spaces, which is Twitter, X, whatever, or game company stuff. That's our right. This is the only way that they'll listen, is if we go into their spaces, because they're thinking everything's honky-dory, or they're not going to get the full message. So a lot of them will just ignore us. And a lot of people, devs, will say that. They don't go on social media, and they don't listen to what people have to say about the game. They try to avoid that. And when they say that, which they try to do, they do that on purpose, because they know that they did a terrible job. They know they did a terrible job. And people's voices want to be heard. Now, going after them in a predatory way, that's different. But
he really doesn't. Yeah. As it turns out, that comment that Mark left is one that he's been copy-pasting all over the comment section. I find this particularly amusing because he tries to say to act like a human being in his video. Yeah. But he comes off like some kind of robot. Like, it comes off very fake. And then he's just copy-pasting.
Of course it's a robot, because he's saying the same thing like a robot would.
Yes, he is.
Sloppy comment section. I think this guy should take his own advice. Like, bro, try and act like a human instead of a bot. Oh, look, here's a comment he left that's actually not just a copy-paste. This user says, "You have never once called out your colleagues for their cruelty." And Mark...
Exactly. So this is why people don't believe this, and this is why they hate people like this.
That's
it's because like you can have these different these different developers and these people that...
That's narcissism. That's narcissism right there. And a lot of what these game companies do is predatory. It's abusive. It's like being psychologically... People should learn psychology more. Because this is exactly what an abusive relationship is. And why I choose not to have anything to do with it. I don't buy any of these games. I wouldn't buy any of them anymore. because gaming's gone to set shit, except for, you know, these companies from other, except for these games from other companies in Asia. And there's gonna be a lot that I don't like either. But they care more about their customers than American gaming companies. So I haven't bought any of these games in years from America. I haven't. It's because I already knew what the final product would be. A huge, terrible disappointment. And when they make fun of us and they gaslight us, and it's just abuse and predatory to us, now they just want the money. They just want, gimme. Shut the F up, take it, give us the money. And I haven't bought any American games in years.
That work in the games industry that constantly, non-fucking stop, make negative comments, derogatory comments towards either content creators, gamers as a whole, or groups of people, and they never get called out by their coworkers or even by other people in the industry.
He's a hypocrite.
And this is a massive issue. Like, for example, in streaming, if somebody says something bad, a lot of people will call it out and say, hey, this is bad.
And then he calls us, take the L, bro. Calling us losers. Take the loss. You asshole. This is why people are attacking you.
In a lot of other industries, it's the exact same thing. But the problem is that if you don't hold your own people accountable, then how can you expect to hold other people accountable? It's not fair. So how can anybody respect this mindset if you're not even doing it yourself? This is what I was saying before about the selective performative empathy.
It's predatory, too.
This is exactly it right here.
Narcissism.
Do they do? What about the very first Twitch chatter you had? What was his accountability for the awful thing he said and left? I stopped streaming. I was done. Yeah, that's it. Checks and balances with your friends. Streamers do that. Also waiting on future collabs. It's selective. Yeah, of course it is going to be selective. And that's why I try to be fair with everybody and with people that... And I think if Mark would just come out and say, hey, professionally, I don't want to say that because I'm in the industry and it would make me look bad professionally, that would be fine for him to say that. But for you to just
It would, but we still say it's bullshit, though. You could be in the industry and still call your own industry out. I've been around the adult industry, so I called a lot of BS out before. I may have gotten kicked out or some of that as well. As much as I defend it, there's stuff that I also hate about it. It's with any other industry there is. In this world, the other industry, there's good and bad. There's no reason why we can't call it out. Or there's no reason why we should get blacklisted from, all these things. I totally disagree with you on that. I think you disagree with what you said as well.
Count this entirely and not even call it out. I don't think that's really the case. And also, if you're in an industry that calling out a person who is saying things that are racist, inflammatory, or problematic, if this will hurt you in that industry, don't expect other people to have respect for the industry.
More examples of him
doing...
Well,
this is the exact issue he's kind of saying, is that people are criticizing his approach to the video, and they're talking about a meta...
Yeah. Well, it means, like, he doesn't care. He's having, like, just... He has his shield on, not listening and stuff. It's just like, ignore.
Level issue with his video, and he's only talking about what the video is talking about and trying to reassert the same point of view. So I think this is actually a really good example of how this happens.
But I'm sure you get the point. Interestingly enough, this comment reads, you know what, credit where credit's due. The comment section is not turned off. And Mark says, not yet.
Not yet.
All this goes back to what I said earlier about how I don't think this guy genuinely does care
Not
about the
yet.
industry.
Not
He seems
yet.
content on defending
That's why
certain
you
people.
didn't know.
He cares about people in the industry. Like he probably has friends or people that he's, like close with or something like that. And he.
Well, yeah, he's Mark Dara. Of course, he worked at Bioware. He's top executive there. Yeah, Ozzy. Yeah. He has a lot of friends there. He has, I think, his own company. I think he started up his own company with some other people from Bioware and stuff, I think. I don't know how well that went, or is going or whatever. But, yeah, he has a lot of friends. He does. I thought highly of him at one time, too. There's stuff that I disagree with him on, too, but I held him in high regards in some places, but not anymore, no. If he and his new team, his companies associated put something out, I wouldn't give it a chance. Because he's the same mindset, the same regime.
He cares about them, and so he's trying to defend them, and he's trying to defend retroactively his own bad decisions. That's what's going on. Is like he supported and consulted and promoted a game that was problematic and bad, and instead of like whenever I said Avowed, like I liked Avowed, I thought it was pretty decent, and then other people said no, it's really bad. Instead of just saying, wow, yeah, I can see where you guys are coming from. Instead of that, he's doubling down and, like basically saying that everybody else is shitty.
Well, yeah, the thing is, he's a narcissist and he's a hypocrite. And what he's doing, gaslighting as well. Making like he's the victim, he's not a victim. And like I said, you can call out the bad stuff that happens in your industry and still love the industry. You can still defend it. But there's no reason why you cannot call your own industry out for the BS that they have, the predatory practices and the abuse of practices they've been doing. You have to call that out, including the gambling with loot boxes. That's gambling. It should be illegal. They shouldn't allow it. But hey, our stupid government is not about protecting the people.
From criticism,
had a wrong
I think
opinion.
we all know that certain people probably are.
No, and also, like, this is my opinion about Avowed. After watching these comparisons, it is shocking to me how stark the comparison is between games that came out over 10 years ago and Avowed. And after seeing it, it does kind of make me enjoy the game less, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I did enjoy playing the game and I had fun playing the game. Now, and this is what I've always said, if you want to be a dick eater, eat as many dicks as you want, just don't ever tell me it's a hot dog. That's fine. And that was the correction. I didn't correct it. I'm not correcting and saying that I'm not a dick eater. I'm correcting and I'm saying I'm not a hot dog eater. Does that make sense? Yeah, of course.
Oh,
because even just taking a look at the video in the actual comment section, he's only giving gamers even more reasons to despise the AAA industry.
Just make it gay.
Lastly, let's take a look at this exchange where a user says, I guess devs can be cruel for years. The second it happens back to them, the gamers are the bad guys and the devs are all of a sudden the victim. Right. Mark says, ideally we would see decorum from everyone. But people point out how he doesn't seem to really stand by that at all.
Yeah, because you're not calling them out. Whenever you only call out one group of people, then everybody thinks that you're biased.
yeah.
And I think that, like, I can even use myself as an example for that. Now, it's been no surprise that I've covered a lot more political topics recently, and in the process of doing that, I've shared a lot of political opinions. Now, I agree with what I'd say, like, 80 to 90% of Trump is doing. Like, I'm very positive towards, like, the actions he's taken. I think that, like, illegal immigration, the, like, trans sports thing, there's a lot of things that I tremendously agree with and I'm very positive about. But the difference is that people criticize me and they say that, oh, well, but you didn't say this about this thing, or you didn't talk about this thing or that thing or whatever. But the difference between me and Mark is that when somebody responds to me when they say that, I can play them a clip of me saying that. Mark doesn't have any of those clips because he's providing one-sided coverage and he's being biased. That's the reason why. So, like, for me, I do provide primarily positive coverage because I agree primarily positively with it. But with him, it's that he's providing one-sided coverage and he's overlooking obvious problems.
I mean, the thing is, there's stuff that I agree and disagree with, stuff that I like and hate about Trump. I mean, people are going to have that the same with me. People are going to have, me and other people have the same stuff with him and all these other people in life. That's just the way it is. If, like I said, I hate politicians. I hate what politics do. I hate that. I hate that stuff, and because there's so much suffering that goes with it, and how it weaponizes people against each other. Politics creates hate, it creates suffering, and it weaponizes people against each other now, where it didn't used to before, and I have so much hate for that stuff. I have so much, and this is why, like, on OnlyFans that I do, there's only a few things that I ever do about that stuff, and they don't like that stuff either, because very divisive for obvious reasons, and I hate that. I hate how politicians just create so much hate, and weaponization where people just want to kill each other for that. But like I said, there's stuff that I agree with, stuff that
the next response saying, that was of no priority to you in this video. And indeed, he never mentioned that at all. Instead, he was trying to frame all the critiques from gamers as attacks and unjust complaining, and mentioning nothing of the awful behavior we've seen from numerous devs in the industry. The next response reads, people didn't when it was one-sided for the last decade. Too late to do a 180 and say people should now, when the other side has the upper hand. Western AAA games have been terrible for value for the longest time, and there's no reason to buy them over indie or Eastern developed games. And then this response says, so where's your video about game dev cruelty, Mark? Where's your article about that? What a snake. It's much more cruel to be an executive producer who pushes for or allows all the elements that were guaranteed to get everyone working under you laid off. Hey, that's kind of...
This is actually a really good point. It's the selfishness of empathy and the selfishness of indulgence at a leadership level. And it's something that needs to be discussed a lot more. And I wish it was, but unfortunately it's not. So one of the things that happens a lot is that a lot of people that are in leadership roles, what they end up doing is they defend and they allow things that are problematic because they think that it's for the better good, right? They're doing the right thing. And sometimes when you do the right thing, you end up betraying the people that put their confidence in you in the first place. And so I see a lot of cases where people who have a leadership position put their own morals and their own virtue signaling ahead of the best interests of the people that have put their trust in them. And I think it's one of the biggest types of betrayals that a person in a leadership position can have. And I think it happens a lot with video games, it happens with movies, and I think it happens with everything. Right? Doing the right thing. Like, I'm going to do the right thing. And sometimes doing the, quote, right thing ends up hurting the people that trusted you. And I understand that, like, this is sometimes a trolley problem, but a good leader knows which lever to pull. And that's it. And sometimes you have to pull a lever.
Right.
And the issue is that a lot of people are unwilling to do that, and their unwillingness to do that makes them weak leaders.
Similar to what I mentioned earlier, and how it comes off like Mark is very disingenuous. Selfish. But continuing, the user says, the team's well-being was your responsibility.
I think I've covered enough what I wanted to do and everything. I just ask, people like that have been here this long, and tell me what you think in the comments section and stuff. I don't do live streams just to hear myself talk all the time. I want also other people to participate with it and everything. So I need to get me something to eat. Then I'd probably do some more stuff. I don't know whether to do NHI UFO stuff or gaming or games or what. Anyways, I hope you all take care. Have a good morning, noon, night, wherever you are.